Thank you. Good afternoon. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted electronically via WebEx webinar, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who registered in advance will be connecting to the hearing using a phone or compatible electronic device and are able to make their presentations to committee using WebEx webinar. Participants will be muted automatically upon entry. When your item is called, participants will be unmuted one person at a time by the moderator. Please mute your devices until called upon to speak. Today, Committee of Adjustment is offering attendees the option to appear by video. Attendees who registered in advance to attend by video will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when their item is called. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time, and at all other times your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will assist us by moderating the WebEx webinar platform, including sharing presentation material received within the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use the share screen function or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. My name is Nancy Oman and I will be chairing this hearing. Panel members participating via WebEx webinar who can be seen and heard are Nimrod Salomon, Aaron Chang, Peter Reed, and Yim Chan. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and it is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting for the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. Variances from the Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permission to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision for an application must submit a written request by email to the general email address for the Committee of Adjustment, Toronto and East York District Office. Please include your name, address, and an email address. Committee of Adjustment and TLAB notifications and appeal updates will be sent by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body known as TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions will be set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please speak slowly and clearly state your name and address. Please confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first with a presentation of the application, and then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have completed their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will be unmuted and will have an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. When a presentation is not required, panel members may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Please note, the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice are informed of the changes. Panel members and staff, are there any declarations of interest in the items this afternoon? No? Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files in the first time slot to be closed or deferred?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, item number 3272 SKYLARK Road is requesting to withdraw their application.
Okay, item number 32, I'm not showing any speakers here, so I think we can deal with this one, panel members. So item 3276 SKYLARK Road, withdrawal has been requested, and that's without returning any fees, correct? Okay, so I need a motion for that. Ms. Chan.
I move to close the file.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed? So motion to close the file, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, so that's approved. Okay, I think the deferral's in the next time slot, right?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, deferral for item number 33 is at the 3:30 time slot.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we are going to start with item number 19, which is 23 Coulson Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from the agent. We have correspondence in opposition from 35, 32, 4, 26, and 20 Coulson Avenue. I am showing one speaker. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair, you do. This is Adrian Latavsky here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear. Just give me a second. Do we have the speaker? Okay, we do have one speaker in opposition, so if I can ask you to do a presentation no more than 5 minutes, and is there anything you need us to put on the screen?
It may be helpful to have the site plan on screen there if you can just quickly find that.
Yeah, staff will find it for you.
I think that's that drawing there. Hopefully it's somewhat legible.
Well, they can blow it up a bit, but we're going to start the clock now, so go ahead.
Thank you very much. So by way of introduction, my name is Adrian Latavsky. My planning firm is Johnston Latavsky Limited, and we are the agent working with the applicant in this case. I won't go through a review of the 4 tests in detail. You have on file, and hopefully you've had the opportunity to read our planning rationale letter, where we provide our own in-depth review of our opinion of why all of the requested variances meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. The highlights that I will hit, however, is to note that yes, indeed, there are 5 variances being requested here. Probably the 2 key variances relate to the fact that we are asking to add 1 additional unit to the existing home, which is a duplex today. It was constructed as a single family home and then in the past converted into a duplex. There are 2 units there today. The intent through these variances is to allow the construction of a new 3rd unit within the existing roof line. And right now, the 1st unit is on the ground floor and the 2nd unit is on the 2nd floor, and the attic roofline area is empty and the basement is currently unfinished. But with these renovations, the 1st unit will then now occupy the 1st floor in the basement. The 2nd unit on the 2nd floor shall remain as is, and then there will be this new 3rd unit, as mentioned, built within the existing roof line. I do note also there are some other variances that are on the list there. One is for a building depth, and that is an existing condition. That is just simply to recognize the existing home's depth. Likewise, the side yard variance for the eastern side yard is an existing side yard at 0.77, so it's just to recognize that existing condition. And lastly, there is a soft landscaping variance that has to do with changes to the rear yard. There will be the addition of a new parking space at the back. And what this change allows to happen is actually an improvement over the existing soft landscaping situation. Although, yes, indeed, what we're proposing is still below the bylaw threshold. With the changes proposed, there will actually be more soft landscaping than is there today. So it is, in fact, an improvement. I stress again, minimal exterior changes. In fact, you will not really perceive the new unit once the construction is done. The only exterior changes are a few small dormers on the roof line that are confined to the side and rear of the existing roof, as well as the addition of one small staircase at the back to provide access to the basement. But from the street, you just wouldn't perceive this. It would remain the same build form that you see there today. And so in a nutshell, there really is no impact, certainly from any physical point of view. The existing building will remain essentially as is, so there'll be no impact on the physical character of the neighborhood. This is the addition of a much needed rental housing unit. As we all know and have read repeatedly, the strain and the demand for rental housing is very high in the city, and this provides the opportunity for one and more additional much needed rental unit. I am aware, we all are aware of the objections that have been filed with the committee. I believe there are 5 letters in total on file. And as you mentioned, I understand there's a speaker here today. We're happy to hear what they have to say. I do note, however, I've reviewed them. And with respect, I don't see a real planning argument per se in opposition to the variances. They speak specifically to a concern over simply the addition of one more dwelling unit. And without really, I think the closest to a specific objection was a concern over perhaps transient occupants, which really I submit to you is not really a planning concern per se. And frankly, this is a rental unit. It's much needed, and it's addressing a problem that we're having within the city as a whole. And so, however, I am here to answer questions, and I'm happy to respond to whatever other specific concerns are raised by the speaker, as well as any questions that the committee may have. That pretty much is what I have to say, so I turn it back to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll hold our questions, if we have any, till after we hear from the speaker.
Hi, Gordon. You've been unmuted.
Hello? Can
Hi.
you hear me?
I can. Can you
Okay,
just,
great. Thank you.
Can you state your name and address for the record? I'm actually showing you as for both 19 and 21. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are
It is
you-
a legal duplex, and I own this property, and I live next door to the 23 Coulson.
Okay.
So I submitted a picture of the rear yard, and my request is basically they have the parking spot in the back with the removal of trees. I don't know if you can see from my photo or from the pictures that I've sent. I think they could still achieve that without the removal of the trees. And the retaining wall, yes, you would probably have to remove that, but I don't see why the trees would have to be removed.
When did you send that in?
That was yesterday, and I'd sent it to Wilser.
Yeah, it may not have made it to the agenda. Just a second. Yeah, we're just checking. The staff are checking very late items, but it didn't make it to the agenda because it was submitted a bit late.
Okay,
If you want to,
that's it
is that
there.
it? Okay.
that's it there. So I've sent in 2 photos. So they can still achieve that parking spot without having to remove the trees. And I think it's a much more desirable look for both tenants and myself as a neighbor and the other property that shares that mutual drive for the tenants.
What kind of trees are they? Just curious.
I honestly don't know. So there's a cedar hedge at the very back of the property,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't really state whether that's going to be removed or not. And then also these trees here that are both close to my garage and then also the subject property's garage.
Well, why don't we ask Mr. Letavsky about the trees, if that's your main concern, and the cedars?
Correct.
Okay, so let me go back to him, and those are all your concerns then? You'd just like to see the vegetation remain?
Correct. And I know that for the soft space requested, if he removes it, it's just, yeah, it's going to add more, green space there, but it's also going to not make it as appealing for a resident like myself who has lived here for 7 years, and even the tenants that would be residing in that property, at that property of 23.
Okay, so let me go back to Mr. Latifsky. Before I do, members, any questions for the speaker? No? Okay.
And I don't personally know the owner of that property because he doesn't reside there, so I don't know him. Otherwise, I would have just spoken with him about it. But I've never met him. He's owned it for a couple of years. I've been here for 7 years, so.
Okay, well, the agent's been listening, so
Okay.
let me go back to him, and then, you know, maybe there's a mechanism for him to put you in touch with the owners, but let's see, maybe the trees are staying, I don't know, let's ask him.
Okay.
All right, okay, Mr. Latifsky?
To you, Madam Chair, there is one more speaker for this.
There
one.
is?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
We can deal with this first, and then we can go.
Okay, let me just deal with, yeah, okay.
Hello, Madam Chair. Hopefully you can hear me again.
Yeah, I can, and if you can just answer, like, just this one, apparently there's another speaker who's not on my list. So just if you can just speak to the trees and the cedars that was just raised, if they're staying, what's happening to them?
The short answer to that is I don't have a very quick answer right now. What I would like to do, and I would like to ask the committee's indulgence, is that both my client and the architect are available to me to place a quick call, and I can quickly confer with them to give you a proper answer. In any case, I know we can certainly connect the speaker with the applicant, his neighbor. I'd be happy to make that connection, and they can have a discussion within themselves. I do say that I make a note, however, that the trees, it's not really directly related to the variance in question. We can still grant the variance and then still look at options. But having said that, I admit I would like to have the opportunity to speak and confer with my client and give you a better answer if I can do that.
How long do you need to do that?
If I can just make a quick phone call, I mean, I'm happy to listen to the other speaker as well.
Yeah, let's do the other speaker first, and then maybe you can make the quick call. 'Cause I don't want you to miss what the other speaker has to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And,
So let me go to the next speaker, and then I'll come back to you, and you can make the call.
Hi, Dan. You've been unmuted.
Hello? What's the person's name? Dan Goldberger? Mr. Goldberger, are you there? Okay, so if we can do this, can you try and get a hold of this person? Mr. Latifsky, can you hear me? Because we're having trouble connecting to this speaker. Can you make the call while we try and connect with this person?
Hello, Dan?
He was connected, but he dropped off again.
Okay, at this, I hope that the agent heard me, and then he's making the call, I hope. I think we were trying to get the other person, so he was probably muted.
Hello,
Hi, is this Dan?
it is. One moment, I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, so are we.
Um,
Do you have another device running in the background?
yes, I do.
Okay, I need you to mute it, or,
I can't unmute myself, that's the problem. I can just leave the webinar, I guess, and leave this phone on. So I'm a little confused. Have you moved from Coulson Avenue to Vesta Drive now?
to which one? No, we're still on Coulson.
Okay, I don't have any comments on Coulson.
Oh, so
I was sent a link for a Committee of Adjustment meeting on 8 Vesta Drive, and for some reason I keep connecting to 23 Coulson.
Sorry, what's the address again? It doesn't even sound like one on my list, to be honest.
No, sorry, Dan, you are
Eight
listed.
Vesta Drive.
Dan, you are
Yeah.
listed to speak for 8 Vesta Drive, and the link that you're provided is for the afternoon session. So we deal with all of the applications that are on the agenda for the afternoon. So,
Okay, I
so
see.
we're not there yet. We're still on item number 19.
Okay,
Okay, so we'll come
All
back
right.
to you when
Okay.
we're dealing with 8 Vesta.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What item is that? I'm trying. 30. 31, hang on. Oh, yeah, he's there. Okay. All right, yeah, they're listed. Okay, so, Mr. Latowski,
Yes.
are you there? Were you able to make the call amongst the confusion here?
I've been able to call the architect, who in turn is doing their own check on it there. And so I don't have a full answer for you just yet. If the committee, and I just simply table this for your consideration, if the committee wishes to go to the next item.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that. If I can hold it down, and Mr. White, if we're gonna hold it down, we'll do the next item, and then I'll check back with Mr. Latowski if he has an answer on the trees. Okay, so we'll hold it, and I'll come back to you after I do the next item.
So are we able to ask questions of the applicant when we come back?
I think it's probably best to do it all together then, Mr. Salomon, and otherwise people may forget in between or confuse it. Okay, so let's hold it, and then we'll go to item 20, which is 341 Cosburn Avenue. I do have one person in opposition, and we have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 2 photographs of trees on the property. We have presentation materials from the agent and correspondence, 2 pieces of correspondence from number 337. So do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, you do. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Arlene Beaumont, Outred and Associates. We are the agents for the owners of 341 Cosburn Avenue. Before I get started, I just want to request that variance number 9 be withdrawn. My clients have taken a look at the letters of opposition from the residents at 337. They understand their concerns, so they're willing to reduce the size of the second floor balcony so that it meets the bylaw requirement, and we won't need a variance anymore. We'll make it to be a 4 square meter balcony, and the variance number 9 is no longer required.
Is this because of discussions with number 337?
Well, we were in, we've reviewed their correspondence where they mentioned that they were concerned about overlooked conditions over their yard. The balcony is permitted. It was the size of the balcony that was the subject of the variance. So we've agreed to reduce the size of the balcony so that it no longer requires a variance.
Okay, but they weren't aware of it until now, so I
No.
guess if you can do a presentation, no more than 5 minutes,
Sure.
and then we'll go to the opposition.
Thank you so much. So the first slide, sort of the next slide, the location slide, shows the location of the subject property. We are, next slide, please. So it's Cosburn Greenwood area. We're looking to do a proposed second-story addition, a rear two-story addition, a new rear deck, and a new front porch. 10 variances are required. 4 of those variances really relate to the existing side yard setback. So the side yard of the new rear addition, the new rear deck, and of course the second floor is going to match that existing side yard setback on the east side of the dwelling. In addition, the setback for the proposed eaves will match the existing setback of the existing eaves. We believe that the remaining variances are modest and are in keeping with other redevelopment in this neighborhood. Next slide, please. So here's the existing dwelling, excellent example of an East York bungalow. Next slide, please. This is the streetscape. The subject property is located, the house to the far left. And the reason I've provided this streetscape is I wanted to show the dwelling at 337. It also had similar additions done a few years ago, so a second story and a rear addition. So what we're asking for 341 is very similar to what was done at 337. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed new dwelling with it's not a new dwelling, sorry, the addition with the second floor addition and new front porch. Next slide, please. So this is the site plan. As you can see, the existing dwelling is very close to the east side yard. It is 0.45 meters away. The bylaw requires 0.90. The new rear addition, the new rear deck are going to match up with that side. So that's where 4 of the variances come in. So basically, we're just matching what's already existing. Next slide, please. I have some comparable homes. Again, this is 337 Cosburn. These are, again, redevelopment. All of these homes have had variances. Next slide, please. And this is, I wanted to show the rear addition at 337 Cosburn. The intent for 341 is that it will generally line up at the rear with 337. It'll be approximately the same dwelling length. We do not require a variance for dwelling length, and I want to stress that. Next slide, please. This is another new build. It is directly across the street. It fronts onto Northbrook. I was standing on the porch at 341 when I took that picture. Next slide, please. This is just around the corner on Greenwood. Next slide, please. And another new build on Greenwood. All of these were within about a 2-minute walk of the subject property. Next slide, please. So this is a neighborhood that's very much in transition, many new builds and additions to existing homes. I checked on the city's website and there's been approximately 300 minor variance applications within 500 meters of the subject property. So many people are requiring variances to upgrade their homes. The home and it's sort of natural because the homes in the area are aging. They're probably not as large as what most families need these days. My clients are proposing to enlarge their home to create sufficient space. They've just had a young child born about a year ago, and they're looking to include in-laws in their household. So they're going to have a multi-generational household, and they really need more space. We believe the proposed additions really are in keeping with what's been constructed in the neighborhood in the last few years. Next slide, please. So we have variances. The soft landscaping is 2% less than required. Our lot coverage is about 44%, again, very much in keeping with what else has been improved. The height of the main walls, 22 centimeters over the bylaw, as is the height of the front entrance. It's about 20 centimeters over the bylaw. We have a front yard variance, which is related to the new front porch, and of course, we have the FSI variance. And then the four other variances that I spoke about, which are directly related to the existing side yard setback.
Can I ask you to wrap up? You're over 5 minutes.
Of course,
Thanks.
of course. And we believe that the enlarged dwelling is going to be an attractive addition to the streetscape, especially with the new front porch, and that it will be a nice addition and very much in keeping with what else is happening in this neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have you back after we hear from the opposition. Do you have the opposition on the line?
Hello, Madam Chair, panel
Hi.
members.
Hi, can I just have your name and address for the record, please?
Of course, I'm Hervé Lacheret. I live and co-own 337 Cosburn Avenue that was referenced in the applicant's presentation,
Okay,
and it's been so for 7 years.
okay, so you have 5 minutes, and you heard that variance number 9 has been removed, and that
I
there-
just did. I just
Yeah.
learned this, yes.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead, we'll start the clock now.
So I also sent a letter as well of opposition. The
Yeah.
opposition was multifold, and you can maybe put it on the screen. The double side, like the variance was part of it. The actual concern and the strong opposition was regarding the balcony, which would overlook about 5 private properties in the back directly with direct views, as well as the rear second story and suite window. I'm surprised. Like I was glad to see that my 337 Cosburn was used as a reference in the design of this new housing building. But at 337, there's only one upstairs windows facing west, and I see 6, if I'm not mistaken. West-facing windows upstairs at 341. And the reason being, for the en-suite windows, basically having a clear view because it's in the extension part of the new building, it will also clearly view towards the western properties and backyards and private family areas that are in that area with clear and unobstructed view. So that's also in our at 337 there are skylights for all en suites and washrooms. We actually don't have any side windows. So I'm also concerned for privacy reasons. In terms, I'm not the next door neighbor, but I'm the house next to it. We do have a swimming pool in our backyard. I am concerned for privacy of my family enjoying the backyard. And obviously, the balcony is the main concern here in terms of having a rear-facing balcony at that height, 4.4 meters above grade level.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker? Okay, we're going to go back. That was everything, Mr. Lacheret?
Those are the two positions.
So I'm going to go back to the agent now to address your concerns. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I just want to reiterate, the balcony is permitted. The variance was for the size of the balcony, and we have reduced that. We no longer require a variance. So the balcony is something that's permitted as of right, as are the windows. The windows, there's no variances required for the windows. And I recognize of course, the concern about privacy, especially with the new window in the new addition area. I would like to point out that window is directly in front of the bathtub in the ensuite. I can't imagine that my clients would not have window coverings. If you can see there, the window is just directly over the the bathtub right there. So my clients would have to stand in the bathtub to look out that window. And I can't think that they would not have window coverings on it just for their own privacy. They wouldn't want people looking into the bathroom while they're using the bathtub. So I don't think that this is going to be really an issue, just because it is in a bathroom. People don't generally, have windows without window coverings in washrooms, just for their own privacy concerns. And the window is permitted as of right. It's not a variance issue.
Would you be willing to, is it called opaque, like the window, the glass that you can't really see through?
Sure. I mean, I can certainly speak to my clients about that, opaque or some sort of, window cover. I'm sure they would put window coverings. I can't think that they wouldn't put window coverings over both the windows in the bathroom, for their own privacy issues. But I can certainly speak to them about doing opaque windows that would only let in light but wouldn't allow them to see into the neighbors.
Yeah, I think it would be, a good gesture toward the neighbors' concerns if they'd be willing to do that. Panel members, do you have any questions? Okay, there are no further questions. Panel's ready to take it into committee for a decision. So we're dealing with the amended variance, the amended application removing variance number 9. Okay, any comments? Mr. Solomon.
I think that while there are quite a few variances being proposed, I believe they are all minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Mr. Cheng?
And that's as amended.
Yeah, so Mr. Solomon moves approval for the application as amended with the removal of variance number 9, and that's seconded by Mr. Cheng. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Okay, so let's go back to item 1923 Coulson.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Great, you can hear me.
Hi, is this Adrian?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so were you able to speak to your client about the tree question?
I was able to confirm with the architect
Mm-hmm.
that the plan is to remove the trees at the back in order to accommodate the changes that need to be made for both the additional parking space as well as to provide the opportunity for new landscaping as set out in the site plan there. I do note that a tree declaration form was filed with the application stating that none of the trees were protected, either as private trees or city trees, so that they don't trigger the requirement for any kind of permit. So I just make that note. And then I guess really what I can stress here is that there is a plan for new landscaping, certainly along the eastern fence line in the soft landscaping area there.
Okay, is that something you can have a conversation with the neighbor about? Something that, maybe,
certainly.
kind of, is aesthetically pleasing to both sides?
Well, what I can certainly do, and I'm happy to do, is to make a connection with between the neighbor and my client, and I'm sure happy to chat, to talk about the issue, see if there's any kind of understanding that can be reached.
Okay, Mr. Solomon, I believe, had a question for you.
Yeah, so the site plan shows in the rear yard, you're proposing a new parking space. And what material is that ground currently, the parking space and the driveway directly in front of that?
Well, we do note that part
new
of
space
landscaping zoning provision is to not only ensure, aesthetically pleasing soft landscaping, but is also to encourage as much infiltration into the ground as possible. And so on that front, it's my understanding there's an intent to use, permeable paving techniques to allow more infiltration into the groundwater there.
Okay, because the site plan says that the existing interlocking to be removed, proposed asphalt.
Now, I am going on what I mentioned the permeable paving in my letter, and that was based on my most recent understanding and discussions with the client as well.
Okay,
So-
so if this was to be approved, you wouldn't have any issue if there was a condition added that the new parking space and driveway directly in front of this be a permeable material?
When I believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
Very quickly, if I may, call up my letter so I can just see what I had already provided in writing. I know I mentioned this issue. I just make a note here, in my letter, I'd make a note, the applicant also proposes to use permeable pavers to allow greater infiltration. So I believe that should be okay.
Okay, so we'd be looking at a condition then that all hard surfaces in the rear be permeable pavers?
If I may, Madam Chair, subject to any correction by Mr. Solomon there, I believe the mention was for the new parking space.
Ms. Chan has a question also.
Yeah, it's the same question because in his letter, it did not specify the area or what is going to be the permeable paving. I just want to make sure that the issue is being addressed carefully, whether he means only the new parking space. That's one question. Actually, I have another question about the backyard, the additional parking pad. Does it need to pull back so far? Because I thought that almost the whole backyard is covered with asphalt. The third car, can it be parked just in front of the double garage and maybe mix more of the area into soft landscaping? Either by pulling it back, though you still have some area can be converted to soft landscaping, or by eliminating the additional parking space altogether. Because you have quite a big deficiency in soft landscaping.
The parking space is required by zoning.
Yes, I'm just thinking that maybe it doesn't need to go so far deep, line up with the back wall of the garage. It can be pulled back out a little bit, and then because the existing site plan there's a retaining wall, and beyond that is soft landscaping. I thought maybe you can keep that part more soft landscaping.
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe I can't speak to specific design changes and render an opinion to you right now as to, let's say, precisely how much that parking space can be altered. I just know that what we would have to make sure is that it is still obviously accessible. Part of the design, I'm sure, takes into account just providing enough space and depth for a car to maneuver into that space. And I know also there's the need to provide that parking space, first of all, of course, from a zoning point of view, but then to position it where it is so that it doesn't block the two existing parking spaces within the existing garage. There's desire not to create a tandem parking situation, rather to allow each car to park and exit without having to worry about jockeying positions. I think it is necessary to lay them side by side like that. So I can certainly, if it's the committee's desire, again, confer with the architect to see what changes might be able to be made in terms of moving that parking space up. Then again, I guess I'm just thinking out loud, forgive me. In doing that, then we're changing really the number for the soft landscaping, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Really don't know what that new number would be. And so.
Okay. Are there any other questions, panel members? All right, we're ready to take it into committee, because if there's any more reductions that you have to calculate, then we basically would have to hold it down again. So, Mr. Latavsky, are you okay with the committee is going to move forward with what's before us then? And then the condition that was contemplated for permeable pavers on the parking spot.
Well, I think we're okay with the permeable parking, permeable pavers on the proposed new parking space. I think we're okay with that. Truth be told, I'm sure we'd be happy to look at options for some minor changes to that parking space. I'd just be wary of changing the variance right now because we can't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you were able to change the variance, I need the numbers, and because we would have to, you know, see what the amendment is and vote on that. So either we go with it now as is, or I have to hold it down again.
I guess all I can really do is suggest that, you know, I certainly have reviewed it and can provide you my opinion that the soft landscaping and therefore ergo the design as put forward certainly satisfies myself that it meets the 4 tests. And I would encourage the committee to approve as is. Having said that, even with that approval in place, we can always look at opportunities to go above and beyond that number by, you know, jockeying that car position to see what additional landscaping might be secured. But regardless, I think we should go with what we have here.
Okay, so panel members, we're in committee. Any comments? Mr. Solomon?
Yeah, I do have concerns with the soft landscaping in the rear yard. I think the variances are minor in nature, and in order to address that rear soft landscaping, I would suggest to add a condition. So I would move approval of the variances subject to a condition that the area shown on the site plan as a new parking space and the driveway directly in front of that new parking space be of permeable material.
Okay, so Ms. Chan, are you seconding or you're
No,
mute?
I'm not seconding.
Okay,
I just want to give my opinion. And I think that because of the addition, they actually gain additional unit. And although the existing park, the backyard is a lot of asphalt, but I think that I can see the site plan, there's the opportunity to actually increase the soft landscaping as it is. So in principle, I cannot support variance number 5, but if the motion is to approve with permeable paver, I will dissent.
okay. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to approve the application with a condition for permeable pavers for the new parking spot and the driveway in front of it that's shown on the site plan. That's moved by Mr. Solomon. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, that carries, and Ms. Chan dissents. Okay, thank you very much. The next item is item number 21, 455 Lauder Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 10 photographs of neighboring property, photograph of a bench, and an arborist report prepared by D.A. White Tree Care. We have forestry asking for condition number 1. Transportation has no comments. We received some more photos in the supplemental agenda, as well as support from 35 people that signed a petition, residents on Lauder, Northcliffe Boulevard, and Glenholm Avenue. We had correspondence expressing concern from the neighbor at 443. We have also opposition from 453 which is adjacent, and 451 Lauder. All right, are there, okay, do we have the agent? I don't have any other speakers other than the agent. Okay.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Eddie Perez. I'm here on behalf of the owner and the designer of this project. As you can see, we're proposing a third story and adding one extra unit on the third floor. If you put up the floor plans, there are very spacious units, and also we're here for the parking. We're asking for one parking where 3 is needed, but if you look at the garage, there's actually 3 parking spots. 2 of them are undersized, where 5.6 meters is needed, and we're slightly under, but a small car would fit there, and bikes as well if the tenants have bikes. So we feel that the parking and that would be adequate for anybody living in this property. Also, we don't have any height variances, and if you look at all the pictures that I've sent in, there's a lot of pictures of houses in the area with 3 stories. It's very common, and it meets the 4 tests. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. But I feel that this project is very modest in nature.
All right, well, let's see. Panel members, do you have any questions? Mr. Solomon?
Yeah, I just had a question of, are there other fourplexes on the street?
Not to my knowledge, but there is three plexes. Well, ours was a 3-plex. We're just adding an extra one now. And like the city is in need of a lot of extra units, and this unit would be very spacious and a very welcome unit for anybody that wants to live in it. If you put up the floor plans, you'll see how the rooms are set out, the living room, everything is nice and spacious, and it would be a good addition to this house.
Yeah, I guess though, one of the things to look at is how does the proposal for a fourplex meet the intent of the zoning bylaw if the zoning bylaw sets a maximum of 2 units?
Well, do you know any of the fourplex in the area?
Legal? I mean, there's illegal one.
Well, my owner's here with me. He says there's a few there, but most of them are illegal, and we want to go the legal route, as you know. So, but he says there is some in the area, but they're probably not legal.
Any other questions, panel members? I'm just curious, why did you give us a picture of the bench? When I saw it, I was just kind of, what was the rationale behind it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, one of the neighbors complained about the bench, and the owner of the property, he put the bench there because there's a lot of elderly people, so that they would have a seat to sit down and relax when they're walking their dogs and such. As you see, there's a bucket there so that was the purpose of it. And because one of the letters was saying that it was a nuisance for the area, but it's actually helps the people walking and neighbors and somebody that wants to rest for a bit and then go on their way again.
Okay, very thoughtful. All right, any other questions? Okay, anything you want to add before we go into committee, Mr. Perez?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're in committee. Mr. Reed.
Thanks. I think the bench is a great amenity for the neighborhood. I did read the concerns of the neighbors, and I think none of them really had anything to do with the variances being requested and with zoning issues. I do understand Nimrod's point about the fourplexes not being necessarily common in the neighborhood, but I think this particular site and this particular footprint of building being on the corner is well suited to taking that kind of additional density. And I do think that the variances being requested are minor. And so I move approval of the application subject to urban forestry condition 1.
Okay, Ms. Chan, are you seconding? All right. Did you want to say something, or you're just seconding? Okay, all right.
I did want to say something, but it was.
If you want, go ahead.
Yeah, what I want to say is that although it's a fourplex, but it's actually it's built in a three-story building. And I think that it will mitigate the effect of a four-story building. That's all.
Alrighty, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the application, including forestry condition number 1, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 22, 473 Oakwood Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from Mr. Barrett, the agent, previous decision affecting the property, parking study prepared by BA Group. We have email correspondence from transportation. They didn't have any concerns. We have a 6-signature petition in support signed by owners and occupants of Oakwood, Robina, and Vaughan Road. And I'm showing one speaker in opposition, and they're from the Oakwood Village BIA. Mr. Barrett, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, committee members, Madam Chair. Graham Barrett of SGL Planning and Design, 1547 Bloor Street West. We're the planners on the file for 473 Oakwood Avenue.
Okay, so we do have opposition. If I can ask you to do a presentation, no more than 5 minutes.
Sure, gladly. I've already submitted a planning rationale detailing this proposal, so rather than going over all that information again, I'll attempt to be brief and provide some additional info and then take any questions you may have. If staff could please put that file up on screen and flip to page 5, showing the renderings of the proposal, that would be great. So this is a proposal to convert the existing 2-story building into a place of worship with a ground floor rear addition with an existing footprint, a roof deck. I'm sorry, those are the architectural plans. I'm talking about the cover letter that was submitted, has some images included. There you go. Page 5 of that, please, shows the renderings of what's proposed for this site. Thank you. So this will include a ground floor rear addition within the existing footprint, a roof deck, a new elevator, interior alterations, and many aesthetic improvements. Some key points, and you already touched on a few of these, is planning staff have been consulted and have no objection, and in fact, view it as a positive addition to the neighborhood. As you mentioned, transportation staff comments have been received and they have no concerns. You also brought up the transportation parking study, and it is BA Group's opinion that the proposed change of use will not negatively affect the neighborhood due to access to cycling, transit, and the congregation's general reliance on other modes of transportation other than the automobile. So to provide some context, their previous location was at Yonge and St. Clair, arguably a busy area, and it had one parking space, one legal space. So they managed to do just fine. Also, the new parking bylaw currently under appeal would require a minimum parking rate of 0 spaces for this site and a maximum of 16. So 7 are being provided, including 1 accessible. And it's also notable that the previous uses had limited parking as well, as the entire area under the 2nd floor at the rear of the building had been fenced off and used as a play area for the Montessori. We've also been in touch with Councillor Matlow's office. They have been in touch with the congregation, and we've provided the planning justification report, the transportation report, and other comments to them. Last we heard, they had no further questions or comments, so we appreciate that. The local BIA, Oakwood Village, expressed some concerns. I believe you have Jeff on the line from the BIA. We met with him and planning staff on Monday of this week. They wanted to ensure that the space remains animated and accessible to the public. And in order to secure their support and make sure that happens, we've agreed to 2 conditions and confirmed that these are acceptable with planning staff. I've submitted them via email, but it was a late submission, so you may not have them, but they are that the 1st and 2nd floor shall at all times maintain independent means of access and egress from the street on the west elevation, and that the windows on both the west and east facing elevations shall at all times be transparent and unobstructed, but the reasonable use of window coverings such as blinds, shades, and curtains is acceptable. Essentially, they don't want to see the building wrapped in vinyl like a bus, and neither do our clients. We fully understand that the BIA is working towards improving commerce in the area and is trying to ensure a lively streetscape, and their support is appreciated, and I think this church will make a good contribution to that. It's also their goal. They've made a considerable financial investment in purchasing and renovating this building, and it has every intention of, the church has every intention of renting its space to those who need it. They've also offered to give the previous tenants first dibs on new space once renovations are complete. I think it's also important to note that they are putting in an elevator, making the space truly accessible. They really envision not only a church, but a community hub, and they're looking forward to being a positive force in the neighborhood. For example, they've been graciously providing a temporary home for the NIA Center for the Arts while their permanent space is being prepared. The future possibilities for this location are almost endless. I mean, it can and will provide clean, renovated, and accessible space for seniors, youth and children, community groups, and so on for a multitude of purposes. I think one of the congregants said it best at our meeting with the BIA on Monday. She said that this will be the church's space on Sundays and everybody else's space Monday through Saturday. The members of the congregation also went out, as you mentioned, and obtained some support, knocked on some doors, and spoke with area residents as much as possible. Now, this is a somewhat unusual site in that it falls under both the mixed use areas and neighborhoods official plan land use designations, and it's also zoned both commercial residential and residential multiple. The site is essentially split down the middle geographically in terms of policy, therefore all apply, but a place of worship is a permitted use across the board. The variances before you today are mostly the result of the change of use, and that is to say the requirements for a place of worship, and also existing conditions. A slight increase in floor area is proposed to enclose the rear covered area and create new space for the church, and all new floor areas to be located within the existing footprint.
Mr. Barrett, you're over 5 minutes. Can you wrap up?
Sure.
Please?
Sure, gladly. I'm almost there. So other improvements, as I mentioned, an elevator and a roof deck and green space at the rear are also part of the proposal. We're actually increasing soft landscaping on the site. I believe this passes the 4 tests. The variances, while numerous, are all quite minor in the context of the site and existing building. Proposal is suitable, and it's in keeping with the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. And it will be a significant improvement over the existing structure and will truly serve to improve the Oakwood Village neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Can we hold any questions till we hear from the opposition? Okay, do you have Mr. Peters?
Hi, Jeffrey, you've been unmuted.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Jeff Peters. I am the chair of the Oakwood Village BIA. And as expressed by Mr. Graham Barrett, we did have a very productive meeting this week. And we all are in agreement that the 2 conditions and the intent of the use of the space and having a better understanding of the use of the space will meet the concerns of the BIA and the residents that have reached out to the BIA to champion this matter. So with the indulgence of the committee, if the 2 conditions could be incorporated into the approval, we would agree to the variances.
Okay. I think the committee would be happy to include those. We always like to see people work things out, so this is really good. Are there any questions for the speaker, panel members? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Peters. So, Mr. Barrett, I'm going to see if there are any questions for you from the members. Mr. Salomon.
Yeah, on the site plan, it shows a garbage recycling area compound, and I'm just wondering, is that within an enclosed building or structure, or what exactly is that?
At the moment, you're correct. There is a storage space for garbage recycling shown on the site plan, although minimal details are provided, which is why we still require a variance for it. This will likely be an enclosed and sealed and lockable storage area for garbage. We anticipate minimal generation of garbage and waste from this site. It's not a restaurant or anything like that. So, and we did speak with members of the BIA about this, and of course members of the congregation, and all garbage will certainly be managed in a sanitary manner so as not to impact neighbors. Now, I did speak with zoning about this and said we were showing this proposed enclosed space, but they would have needed to see elevations and so on to actually remove the variance. But I can assure this committee that the First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto will be handling their waste and recycling in a responsible manner on the site.
Ms. Chan.
My question is on variance number 15. Are you required to have a fence along the south side? I can understand the shared driveway, you probably will not put a fence there, but why is it not along the other, further along to the east property? Is it because they do not want a fence or?
Well, if you take a look at the renderings again on page 5, there is a fence along the rear yard of the adjacent home. And then there's a tree there that's right along pretty close to the property line. There have been no discussions about putting a fence all the way along to the rear of the property, although I think it's currently open as shown, and I think a fence stretching all the way down to Rabina would present some problems aesthetically. So there has been no discussion about putting a fence all the way along that lot line, no.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, but I thought it's maybe the request by the next door neighbor, but you require variance for that though. Are you not planning to have some fencing?
Not at this time, no.
No? Oh, all right, thank you.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. Let's take it into committee. Mr. Reid?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a good application. I think it's nice to see an adaptive reuse of a substantial building, and it's interesting in its actual positioning between residential and commercial areas. I do think that the conditions that were put forward and agreed to with the BIA make sense, and I do understand the BIA's concerns, and I think these are very reasonable conditions. It's a huge list of variances, but I think that the impact of them will be very minor, and I think this is a positive use for the site. So I'll move approval of the application subject to the 2 conditions put forward in the email by the applicant.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Cheng? Okay, so a motion to approve, including the conditions that were up on the screen for quite a while. Moved by Mr. Reid, seconded by Mr. Cheng. All in favor? Okay, the application is approved. Thank you very much. Item number 23, 621 Durie Street. The committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the property. We have a covering letter from the owners, and I don't have any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line? And we have 1 variance before us.
Hello, committee.
Hi.
I'm Mel Rosenblatt at 53 Neptune Drive, apartment 203 in Toronto, and I'm the agent for the homeowners.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is a very minor application, panel members. Do you have any questions for Mr. Rosenblatt? Sir, we've read all the materials. We've read your covering letter. We don't have any questions. We're ready to make a decision on this. Anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
No, it's fine the way it's presented.
All right, thanks. Okay, let's take Ms. Chan.
I agree with Chair. It's a very minor application, what they asked for. So I move for approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, second. So motion to approve moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor, and please note that Mr. Cheng is absent. I think he dropped off. Okay, so that's approved. Thank you very much. Item number 24. Oh, he's back.
I am very sorry.
No worries. We still had quorum. We're good.
Thank you.
All right, item 24, 38 Dunkirk Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and 4 form letters in support. And that includes the adjacent neighbor at number 40 and 2 properties on Glebe Mount. And no speakers in opposition. Do I have the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is Michael Shrazadfar, and I'm the agent on behalf of the homeowners at 38 Dunkirk Road.
All righty. Panel members, do you have any questions for the agent? Okay, sir. Again, not seeing any questions from the panel members. We're ready to make a decision on this one. Anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we're in committee. Mr. Solomon?
I think these variances are minor, and I would move approval of the variances with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed, so motion to approve moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 25, 81R Woodlawn Avenue East. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, isometric drawings from the agent. We have email correspondence from the assistant planner in Heritage, and they didn't ask for any conditions. Again, this is one variance, very minor. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, you do. Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Stephen Fong from Stephen Fong Architect. I am the architect and agent representing the client.
Okay, sir. Any questions, panel members? All right, Mr. Fong, we're ready to take this into committee to make a decision. Anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
No additional comments or information.
All right, thanks. Okay, panel members. Mr. Reed?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, this is extremely minor. It's just basically permitting a wall to enclose an existing already largely enclosed space. And so I can see 0 negative impacts to come from this approval. So I move approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Chang? Okay, motion to approve moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. Chang. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 26, 129 McRoberts Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a digital rendering from the agent. We have 4 form letters in support, and that includes number 127, which is adjacent.
Yes.
Again, I don't have any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes.
Hi, I need your name for the record.
Yes. My name is Pamela Pan. I'm the agent.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for the agent? No? Okay, Ms. Pan, we don't have any questions. We've read the materials. Anything you want to add? We're ready to make a decision on this.
Yes. So basically, this is first floor, adding first floor on existing 2-story single-family dwelling, and I think this is all minor, all those variances, and meeting the 4 tests, and we're hoping to get approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take it into committee for a decision. Mr. Solomon. You're muted.
I'm just going to unmute myself here.
Alrighty.
I believe these variances are minor in nature. Directly across the street are other new 3-story semis. So I would move approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Chang? Okay, motion to approve moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Mr. Chang. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 27, 2215 Queen Street East. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from the agent, as well as presentation materials. We have email correspondence from planning, and they're asking for a condition. Maybe staff can put the condition up on the screen. And we have correspondence in opposition from 118 Winneva and 116 Winneva. I am showing 2 speakers in addition to the agent. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Hi, Madam Speaker. It's Ashley Bedajong from SBN, the agent to the property owners.
Hi. Just a second. Do we have both speakers? Okay, we do have both speakers that are in opposition or have some concerns. So can I ask you to do presentation no more than 5 minutes, please?
Absolutely. Can you please pull up the presentation that was submitted August 18th?
The covering letter, is that the one?
No, a presentation package, a slide deck.
Was that in the supplement? Oh yeah, in the supplemental, we just got it. Okay.
There you go. You can jump to the next slide. Thank you. Thank you, Chair and committee members, for the opportunity to speak. So to give a little context, our site's located on the south side of Queen Street. It's mid-block. The site's currently occupied by a 1.5-story building that's generally built to the property line. It is vacant, but was previously a dance studio. South of our site is a public lane, and beyond the lane is a designated neighborhood. I'd also just like to highlight there is a parking lot 1 block west of the site. Next slide, please. So here you have some photos. There's the front view of the existing building, views east and west towards the building from the lane. And the bottom right corner of the page is the private parking area servicing the residents to Durie Avenue. Next slide. So the proposal today, it's largely to undertake interior renovations to support a fitness use. The renovated building will continue to be 1.5 stories. It is retaining all existing main walls and their setbacks. The main change is really to the roof level. So we're introducing 3 clear story pop-ups in a sawtooth pattern to allow light at ground level. You can see that light at the bottom corner of the page. Importantly, only the center pop-up is introducing stairs that's open to the gym space below, and that's just to allow roof access for staff and patrons. The entrance is labeled in pink on the slide. The accessible roofs, oh, you can still stay, thank you. The accessible roof area is closest to Queen Street. It's labeled in green on this plan, and it's separated from the residential zone by the 2 additional pop-ups. Now you can go to the next slide. We're requesting 5 variances from the existing bylaw. 2 variances are related to overall density and density of the fitness use. The proposal will be a lower density than what actually exists today when compared to the studio use, given the elimination of the existing mezzanine in favor of only introducing a staircase to the roof. I'd also like to mention we're proposing no variances to height. We're under the maximum 12 meters at 8.2 meters. And in terms of the fitness center, the intent of the bylaw was to restrict big box type commercial spaces. This isn't the case. This is very much a boutique fitness space. It's occupying the same building footprint, and it's really been designed to be fine grain, as you can see at the bottom of the page. Regarding the rear yard setback, this is just recognizing the existing condition. There's no change, and there's no anticipated impacts to overlook or privacy considerations for the dwellings because the area immediately abutting the rear of the site is used for that surface parking. And no parking is being provided consistent with the studio use and with policy direction to eliminate minimum parking rates. And as a fitness use, it's really going to attract foot traffic, people using active or public transit. Can you go to the next slide? So with respect to the patio variance or the rooftop access, this is really technical in nature. As you can see from this plan view, the only accessible portions about 23 meters away from the nearest neighborhoods or the nearest residential property line that exceeds the required 10 meters from the bylaw. It's located again close to Queen Street and it's separated by 2 pop-ups. And it's intended for passive uses like yoga and personal training. There's no sound systems, eating establishments, or nighttime use. Overall, it's my opinion that these variances meet the intent of the Avenue's mixed-use areas designation, are truly minor, as described, meet the intent of the zoning, and would be a really positive and desirable high-quality use along Queen Street. We are aware of the opposition letters. Our client has reached out, but they declined to speak to us. In just reviewing their letters, we believe the concerns with respect to the rooftop access are easily mitigated given the separation that I described and the overall low height of the building. But I'm happy to answer their questions. Lastly, we have no issue with the conditions from planning staff. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the opposition, and when we have you back, if members have questions, we'll ask them then.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. My name's Amber Richmond. I actually own a property 2 doors down, and the reason I would like to speak is about the rooftop patio.
I just need you to state officially the address that you're
Of course.
speaking.
2211 Queen Street East.
Okay, go ahead.
We own the building but live in the residential space above the retail, and I actually love that this is being done to this property, and I think I'm in full support of the gym. It's going to be a great addition. I am very concerned about the patio. I just heard that there's no speakers on the rooftop. My worry is that could change at any point in time in the future, and noise does carry, especially when we're just literally a building beside it. And I believe we'd be able to hear yelling or spinning classes if they're happening at 6 a.m. in our actual home.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker? Okay, I think, you know, we do sometimes look at putting a condition on for no sound system. So the committee, you know, we could consider something like that. But we have no further questions. Was there anything else, or it's just the noise issue?
Just the noise issue from the rooftop patio is my only concern. Otherwise, I am excited for this on Queen Street.
Okay, so thank you very much. And I'll move to the next speaker.
This is Richard Horner from 118 Winneba. I submitted my letter. I did go online to look at all the plans, but they weren't there at that time. So I'm glad to see them. The major concern really was the overlooking of the rooftop patio to basically two upstairs bedrooms, which are kids' bedrooms, and a private deck, which is private currently, and if there's any visual sight lines, that was the major concern, and the roof, you know, the design wasn't up when I submitted my letter. So if there is no visual impact on private space, meaning a private deck, and there's not much privacy in this high density area, so the fact that there is some privacy in the deck is great, and one of the reasons we bought the house. But also, you know, the upstairs bedrooms and by definition the downstairs living and dining space, if that is non-visible, which it's hard to tell from the pictures, which I have to compliment the designers, looks very good, then that is and remains our major concern. I can't really tell from what the sightlines would be here, or whether the people would only be at the front of the building, which perhaps was the implication I got, but perhaps some detail would be helpful.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to the agent, and she can speak to that. And let me just check if my members have any questions for you. Okay, not seeing any. So I'm going to go back to the agent and ask her to answer your question about overlook, as well as the noise concern from potential speakers and whatnot.
If I could ask that we go back to the presentation slide deck. There's some renderings that I think might help following the plan view. If you could go down. There you are. One more. Here, you can stop. So this would be the view of the deck, the accessible roof, the patio, so many options. This would be the review looking southeast, so we can tackle noise and overlook. You can't really go to the edge of the building beyond that center pop-up, so there's no opportunity to even get to the edge or near the laneway. I think that really does mitigate the concerns with view, because the neighboring building on the east side is taller than our proposed building. You can see it almost in that gray ghosted. Thank you for finding that out. So that would also protect any views looking southeast towards Maneva. It also help with buffering any sound. With respect to noise, my client, the applicant, is comfortable with a condition to restrict noise. There will be no spin classes on the roof, can confirm that. Any activities up there really will be passive, quite quiet, but again, there's no issue with a noise condition.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for the agent? Okay. Sabrina, can I just defer to you? Trying to think of the standard wording for like no speakers or amplified noise out on the rooftop patio. What's the wording we usually use?
Through you, Madam Chair, I know that there's standard wording. I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, if we agree that that's what we would impose, again, there's always the notion that if there is noise, someone can call 311.
I think
put in
that's
a
true,
complaint too.
but I think we're more talking about having any speakers or, you know, any kind of amplified music systems out there. So if you can use the standard condition, then we'll do it that way. All right. So let's take it into committee then for a decision if there are no questions. Ms. Chan?
Sorry, I do. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got some stuff pop up in on my screen. Okay, I like to yeah, I think this is a very good project actually. With the roof design, they only have a part of the central of the roof to be an outdoor exercise space, which in my own gym, my club, they actually have also a rooftop exercise space for yoga, and when it's a nice day, it's actually nice to exercise outdoor too. So and also it's on a major Queen Street, and I think that with the design of the rooftop, they actually have these roof monitors shielding the patio from the residential area. I think the impact is being mitigated in that case. I move for approval with the are there any conditions? Oh, yeah, the planning conditions. Yeah, the planning conditions that tie to the roof plan C12 and C13, and also they add the condition about the no amplified music or noise on the rooftop patio.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Okay, Mr. Reed. So motion to approve, including those two conditions. Moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 28, 1384 Pape Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a revised zoning waiver that was received May 11th, and a Metrolinx corridor development permit. Okay, and I don't have any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is David Eagleman, planner, here on behalf of the owners.
Can you enlighten me on variance number 2, because I don't understand why that's there.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. It's actually further than variance number 2. Variance number 1, 2, and 3 can all be deleted. Okay. Because it was a mistake on the waiver. All those three variances, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 are gone. Okay.
And through you, Madam Chair, I don't think a full presentation is necessary considering there is no one here in opposition. I would just like to note that this application is just for a second-story addition above an existing attached garage at the rear. So a number of the variances are just to recognize an existing condition, specifically the length and the depth are, albeit it will be taller than what exists currently. However, the length and depth will be recognizing an existing condition, and considering the deletion of the variances 1 to 3, the proposal is compliant with the maximum overall height, maximum number of stories, and further the lot coverage as well is basically the same as the existing condition, almost the same. It's a slight increase, but it amounts to a very small increase. So I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, any questions, panel members? No, we're actually ready to go into committee. There are no questions. Anything else you want to add, or I think we're really only looking at a couple variances here, and as you said, they're quite minor.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I would just submit that I'm of the opinion that this proposal meets the tests set out under Section 45.1.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take it into committee for a decision. Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, I think the application as amended, then the variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Cheng? So motion to approve moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Mr. Cheng. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Alrighty, item 29, 16 Fielding Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Forestry is asking for condition number 2. We have correspondence in support from number 20, 22, and 23 Fielding. And we received last minute support from 26 Baltic, as well as 31 Baltic and 18 Fielding, which is adjacent. Don't show any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, and to members of the committee. My name is Jason Brander. I live at 16 Fielding Avenue, and I'm the agent for our application for minor variance before you today. I'm a registered professional planner with over 15 years of planning experience, and actually worked with the City of Toronto until May of this year. My role with the city was to review applications for minor variance as well as larger rezoning applications. Just a little bit of background on the consultation portion of this. So I provided an information letter in addition to the notice that went out to each of our surrounding neighbors on Fielding Avenue and on Baltic Avenue as well, inviting them to have a conversation with us back on August the 8th. We did have 6 neighbors attend, with everyone generally supportive, in addition to the 5 letters of support. In my professional opinion, our request for relief is reasonable and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45 of the Planning Act. It's minor and desirable, meets the intent of the city's zoning bylaw and the city's official plan, and complies with the zoning requirements for side yard setbacks and landscaped open space. We've proposed the garage at a rear yard setback in line with the prevailing pattern and character of our area. So we're located at the westerly end of a laneway with 21 existing garages. And of those, 14 of them are built within 0.2 meters or less of the lane. Most of them are actually at a 0 setback as well. And it's not really unlike the character that's there. You know, we're family with 2 growing boys and just looking for that additional storage space. And, we did reach out to, as I said, reach out to all of my neighbors, and particularly those at 14 and 18, and both are supportive. With that, I will welcome any questions from the committee. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any questions. So let's take it into committee for a decision then. Ms. Chan.
Yeah, I think the applicant's done a lot of good homework, and I appreciate that. And I think the variance is minor in nature, and I don't think we will have a negative impact. Especially, they also have support the adjacent neighbor. So I move for approval with forest condition number 2.
All right, do I have a seconder? Mr. Chang, so motion to approve, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Chang. All in favor, including forestry number 2. Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 30, 622 Davenport Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have email correspondence from Ravine and Nature Feature Protection. They don't have any conditions. Transportation is asking for conditions. There's 2 options that they've put out there. Perhaps staff can put those up on the screen. And I don't show any opposition speakers for this one. Do I have the agent?
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Barry Goldman. I am the architect and the agent for this application.
Okay, and you see the conditions like the either or? You see the
yes, yeah, thank you. We are aware of the conditions. We do intend to secure a front pad parking permit. We're here in advance of that just because of timing. It takes longer to get that permit. In the event that that's turned down, we are happy to remove the driveway and curb, but we would like to proceed to try and obtain the permit with the variances required in order to do so.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Goldman? Okay, we don't have any questions. Ready to take it into committee. Anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
No, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, let's take it into committee, panel members. Mr. Solomon.
I believe the variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval subject to transportation services conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed, so motion to approve, moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Mr. Reed, including the August 12th transportation condition. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 31, number 8, Vesta Road or Drive. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a covering letter from the agent, previous committee decision affecting the property, as well as an OMB decision. Presentation materials from the agent that came in our supplemental agenda. We have support that came in the supplemental agenda, 10 form letters from residents on Vesta and Strathern Boulevard, as well as Millbank Avenue, and that includes number 10 Vesta, which is adjacent. We have opposition from number 6, which is the other adjacent neighbor, number 30 Glen Eyre, 24 and 27 Strathern Boulevard. I do show opposition speakers. I'm showing 2 opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, hello. Matthew Lang, planner, agent for the owner. Owner and architect are both also listed as speakers if necessary.
Okay, so we have one variance before us. We do have opposition speakers, and if you can do a presentation, and maybe based on what I read, I think this additional coverage is required for elevators, but perhaps you can expand on that a little bit. So the clock starts now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I will try to summarize the history of this property, which began in 2012 via a minor variance application that was ultimately approved by the OMB. The dwelling as it exists today was constructed in approximately 2014. And in 2019, my client purchased the property via power of sale. Upon purchasing of the home, they went through a process of doing some interior work as there were some items that needed to be completed. When they were done, they sought a final inspection, and they understood at that time that a final inspection had not occurred. And as the inspector reviewed the material, he asked my client to get a formal review through the Building and Zoning Department, which they did. Through that process, the single variance has come forward, which is before you. We had gone through a fairly extensive review with the examiner. Items that had potentially been exempted previously are not going to be exempted now, as they relate to the vehicle elevator, the human elevator, and some staircases, which brings forward the variance before you today. There are no physical changes to the building being sought in terms of height, length, setbacks, etc. This variance relates to interior calculations within the building. We have met with our neighbors, and we've provided 10 letters of support. We've also provided a map of Committee of Adjustment approvals in the immediate area, which range from 0.78 to 0.81 times. We have had this application reviewed by staff, and as you can see, there are no comments before you in relation to opposition to the approval. And we have reviewed the opposition letters before you. And if deemed acceptable by the committee, my client would be amenable to having a condition of approval related to the removal of the rear second floor deck by removing the railings, or balcony, sorry, not deck, by removing the railings and installing a French balcony, which would ensure no access to that rear balcony, and in essence remove that balcony completely. So that is our submission. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay, I think we'll hold our questions till we hear from the opposition. So I'll have you back after I hear from the two speakers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Christine, you've been unmuted.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hi, I just need your name, your full name and address for the record.
Okay, my full name is Christine Lucyk, spelled L-U-C-Y-K. My address is 24 Strathern Boulevard, Toronto.
Okay.
I'm 5P1S7.
Oh, that's okay. We don't need the postal code, just the street. So I'm going to reset the clock, and then you have 5 minutes. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think my letter is fairly direct, that saying, this stuff is all in place already, and the footprint that is shown that building has in total, because it does include a detached garage, but that's got apparently a lift elevator to lower the cars into the parking area in the basement. Nobody's ever seen the garage doors open or seen whether that lift system is in fact in place. When I went over there the other day, I did look at and see, and the letter from my neighbors at 6 Vesta, they included some very good photographs where you can just see how, in fact, it's a 3-story building, not a 2-story. And that upper deck level is, you know, totally overlooking their property. So I'd say that the footprint in total is just too large. And it's not surprising that some of the densities that were cited are higher than this particular one, that if approved would put it up at 0.75. I'd also just make another footnote to my letter is I'm a qualified planner with a master's degree from the London School of Economics, and I have I'm a fellow at Imperial College in Sustainable Development. That's all I have to say, but I would respectfully ask the committee to, you know, consider just the massiveness and the fact that it was all done illegally. And then when the owner showed me the documents that he was circulating for signature, he said, well, it's already been approved by the building inspector. And I said, well, you know, the inspector doesn't just approve things willy-nilly. It's going to the Committee of Adjustment. So you can see that there is both opposition and some just form letters signed by several of the neighbors. And in fact, my adjacent neighbor signed it, she said, just to get rid of the guy, because he had come by her house 3 times to do it and was interrupting her work. And she was working from home. And so she didn't understand what it was asking for. English is not her first language. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the speaker panel members? No? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Lusik. Thanks. Do you have the next speaker?
Hi, Dan, you've been unmuted.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, I need your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Dan Goldberger. I reside at 27 Stratton Boulevard. It's the house directly adjacent on the west side of this property at 8 Vesta Drive.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, this home was originally going to be developed in 2013, and we had participated at the Committee of Adjustment asking for a somewhat lower footprint than what was allowed. And we actually won at the Committee of Adjustment. I then went to the Ontario Municipal Board, and 3 conditions were offered, 2 of which were to maintain a 110-foot silver maple tree. And at the time, the owner was the builder, Harry Donenfeld, was to build with sonotubes in the ground and protect the tree. I never got any written confirmation of the outcome of that hearing, and there was no follow-up from the City of Toronto. Construction began in September, I think, of 2014, and I was going on an international trip, and the builder was trying to excavate without even putting in hoarding. So this builder, which the owner knows very well, as I found out, had extended financial surety to the builder, built this house without municipal or provincial adherence to certain laws, such as putting up hoarding when you're excavating. But by the time I realized that the house was built, it was essentially 1 meter from the lot line where I reside. And my understanding was there had to be an extra foot for homes that have operable windows. So in effect, too close to the lot line. In terms of the extra gross floor area, that's because the silver maple tree was removed and there were no sonotubes to protect it. So therefore, he filled it in with extra space. Obviously, this is all a little too late. It seems to me that the mechanicals, which are put on my side, and this balcony in the rear is rather unsightly and obtrusive. It looks like there's no landscaping on the property and just grass was thrown down. If there were mature cedars planted between our two properties, that would help remove some of the view from the balcony to our backyard. However, I can't place those cedar trees on my property. They need to be put as part of the landscaping from the neighbor at 8 Vesta Drive. So I don't know what the city can do, but that's, our comments were provided in that letter along with physical photographs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Goldberger. Panel member, Mr. Solomon has a question for you.
Yeah, I think we heard from the applicant, if I'm correct, I think he suggested that he was prepared to remove the railing on the balcony, and so it would no longer be a usable balcony at the rear. What are your thoughts on that?
I would think it's illegal to do that because either the balcony conforms with safety regulations or it should be removed altogether. I think originally it was built without a railing, which sounds pretty crazy if somebody wanders out on the balcony. So I would say that that's probably not a position that anybody would support, let alone the city.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Can you just speak to this, the balcony, because I also heard you say you would remove it. So would you propose to remove like the floor section or turn it into a Juliet balcony or something? Or like what is it?
Yes, exactly, Madam Chair. We will remove the railings. We will turn into a Juliet. There will no longer be operable doors. It will not be accessible. And that is how we will deal with it. And I've spoken to our architect, and that is the path we would take.
Okay. Is there any other comments you want to make following listening to the objectors?
No, Madam Chair, unless there's any questions from the committee members.
Panel members, do you have any more questions for the agent? Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, so we're ready to go into committee. Panel members, we're in committee. Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. I'm happy to start and see if my colleagues have anything to add, but for me, this really seems more like a technical variance that's being requested. There's obviously a long history here with a lot of complications and ill will, but what's before us today is really a shuffling of internal floor space, which results in a different interpretation of what equals GFA. Nothing on the outside is proposed to change, and so I think this is completely acceptable. Whether or not the neighbors have concerns that are legitimate is, I think that's a good question, but it's outside the scope of this panel. I do think that the offer by the applicant to remove the rear balcony is a good gesture, and so I see Yim has something to add, but I'd be willing to move a motion to that effect.
No, through you, Chair. No, I just was going to ask you whether you will put that as a condition or whether you will leave it just in between the two neighbors that you will respect them, that they will do it. I don't know. That's my question.
I'd be happy to put it as a condition just because the applicant seems very willing to do that. And so I'd see no reason why we couldn't.
Yeah, maybe it is good. Yeah. So that is for sure we get that right.
Okay. So I'm happy to move approval for the reasons I said before. subject to the rear balconies removal, meaning the railings of the balcony be removed and that a Juliet balcony be replaced in its stead.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion?
Sorry, through you,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. Could we just put up the elevation plan of the balcony that is in question? And staff's just doing that now.
Do you want me to ask the applicant which drawing and tie it to that drawing also?
No, it's just because we're looking at it on Google Maps, and it seems like the entire structure would have to come down. So this is that the first level is covered, and that coverage is what is that second level deck. So is that structure coming down?
Can I just?
No.
No.
No, I think the structure would remain, but the railings on the second floor of the structure.
Can't walk on it anymore. I think that's the objective here, so that it would just, like now you would be able to walk on it.
No, I know. I'm just wondering, then that's not meeting the building code for safety. Because it's there, right? Who's to?
They're gonna put a Juliet balcony, so a railing, you know how they're like close, like that you actually can't walk out, it's like right at the door or the window. It's a railing.
Yes.
It just gets pulled
No, I
right
understand.
against the house. It should still meet code, should it not?
It will have to meet code. It's just over time, someone could remove and extend and use that space. I'm just putting it as caution.
Would Mr. Reed have to add to that, you know, that space on top of that, you know, sort of overhang cannot be used?
The situation here is that that's not a variance that's before the committee, so we can't stop someone from doing something that is as of right.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
It maybe the wording we can say the balcony will be inaccessible, because in that case they have to alter their sliding door or whatever they have to do, right? So it cannot be just make it inaccessible.
Well,
again, through you, Madam Chair, we can't prohibit someone from using something that is as of right on the property, and the way it's been constructed appears that it could be in use.
I do sort of want to remind everybody it was the applicant's or the agent's suggestion to do this, so I'm assuming that he can comply with code. And yeah, you're right, there's no variance here, so the ownership changes, they could, but I guess that would be for another day. But today, it was a gesture towards, I think, helping out the neighbors' concerns, so I think that's what the committee's trying to do here. So anyway, Mr. Reed, so do you want to?
I guess, but I mean, I defer to staff. I understand what Sabrina's saying in terms of it's as of right that a balcony could be built there. So
Can we put it in the notes can you make a note that the applicant has agreed that at least it's in the minutes and not as a condition?
It could be for the record.
Yeah.
However, if the applicant has proposed not to use it, then perhaps it would just be removed altogether and a redesign so that there isn't a second story deck.
I'm personally happy to just have it as for the record, because I agree. I don't think it's necessarily enforceable. And regardless, I think it is, you know, there is a significant distance between that balcony and the neighbors. I don't think it's not necessarily a huge concern to me. So I'd be happy to have remove the condition and add as for the record comment.
Okay, and then you would just be moving approval of the application.
That's right.
All right, do I have a seconder for that, Ms. Chan? Are you
I will
seconding?
second that. I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the application, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Okay, that carries. Before we go to the next time slot, let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 4:05. And then we'll start with item 33, I think, yeah. Okay, I am now absolutely frozen again. Like, I feel like I'm gonna All right, we're ready to go. The next item is item number 33, which is 35 CONDOR Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a revised zoning notice, 10 photographs of trees. We received a deferral request in our supplemental agenda from the agent because they need to correct variances. Correspondence expressing interest from 114 Boltby and opposition from number 33. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Nadeem Irfan, NIA Architects, 10 Minnal Business Court, Suite 710, Scarborough, Ontario, M1B3C6.
Alrighty, you're still asking for a deferral, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to, I do have the neighbor listed as in opposition to this. And I assume that you would also take the opportunity to speak to the neighbors if a deferral is granted. But let me just go to the neighbor. Mr. Bauer?
Yes, hi, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So I need you to state your address, but
Sure.
I also want you to know that we're not going to be hearing this item today. We're going to have to defer it because there's corrections that need to be made to the variances. And
Okay.
The committee would then impress upon the applicant to have a conversation with yourself to address any concerns that you might have if an deferral.
Okay.
Okay? So I just need your address.
Yeah, the address is 33 CONDOR Avenue.
And then if the deferral is granted, the matter would be recirculated and then you can register again the next time it comes on an agenda.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Irfan, just you are going to need to correct variances. That's why you need the deferral.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, and if the deferral is granted, you will have a conversation with the neighbor at 33?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, panel members, let's take it into committee. Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. I move that we defer the application and that the applicant can revise the variances and also reach out formally to the neighbors who are concerned.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Solomon, so motion to defer, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 34, 127 Park Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. An arborist report prepared by I Love Gardens and Trees. Presentation material received late yesterday from the agent, as well as a community outreach summary from the owner. And we have Forestry is asking for condition number 2. And we have 2 variances before us and not showing any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, you do. This is Tyrrell Wong. I am the architect and the agent.
Okay, hi. Panel members, do you have any questions on this one? Okay, we're ready to make a decision on this, Ms. Wong. Is there anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
I don't think I need to add anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're in committee. Mr. Solomon.
So this is a corner lot, and I believe that the variances before us are minor in nature. I would move approval of the variances subject to urban forestry conditions, and I see condition number 1 and 2.
All right. Are you seconding, Ms. Chan? Okay, so motion to approve with the forestry conditions moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 35, 387 Shooter Street. we have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a map of comparable Committee of Adjustment decisions from the agent. Presentation materials were received late yesterday from Mr. Rubinoff. We have correspondence in support from Evan Argaloff on behalf of the owners of 391. Form letter in support signed by 134 Sackville Street. Correspondence in opposition from 385 Shooter and somebody who didn't provide an address, as well as 4 form letters in opposition from 365, 371, 373, and 374 Shooter Street. I'm showing 1 speaker in support. Do I have the agent on the line? And we're looking at 1 variance, panel members.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Glenn Rubinoff, agent for the owner.
Hi. We don't need a presentation. The speaker I have is in support. Mr. Rubinoff, are you okay if I just go to the speaker first and then I'll see if the members have questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you have the speaker?
To you, Madam Chair, no, I cannot reach the speaker.
Okay, well, we're not able to reach the speaker, so I'm going to ask the members if they have any questions for you. There's no questions, Mr. Rubinoff. We're ready to take this into committee. Is there anything you want to add before we make a decision on this?
No, just simply that it's a 1 variance for density and it falls well within other applications of similar scope. So I think I believe it stands and fits within the context of the neighborhood.
Okay, let's take it into committee, panel members. Okay, who wants to weigh in on this one? Mr. Chang, you look like you want to weigh in on this one. You look very serious.
Yes. I think this is a very straightforward and simple. I'm trying to find out why, well, I'll put it this way. I think it's a very simple application. I would like to support it and approve it.
Okay, do I have a seconder for Mr. Chang's motion? Mr. Reed? Okay, all in favor? Okay, so the motion carries, moved by Mr. Chang, and it was seconded by Mr. Reed. Okay, item number 36, 89 Morse Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. And we have the TRCA, they don't have any concerns. And I don't have any opposition speakers. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Good afternoon. My name is George Lolos, also members of committee panel. I'm the agent and the architectural designer for this project in front of us. I can make a presentation.
I don't think we'll need it. I see my members shaking their head, but I do see Ms. Chan has a question for you.
I'll accept it.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
just 4 and 5. They both regarding the side yard setback.
Yes.
One is 0.088, the other one is 0.09. Why?
They're all both those setbacks are the requirements. Again, it's the bylaw requirements. Why are they required? The 2 different numbers. Again, it's a bylaw interpretation, but we're asking for 0.5 on those matters, and they're all related to the cantilevered 2nd floor area. This is not on the ground floor. This is the cantilevered 2-story area along that side yard. And also to add to Madam Chair's, my clients have spoken to both neighbors on both sides of the property, and they are both in favor of the proposed development on this matter.
Okay, so it means that variance number 4 is to do with the 2nd floor overhang? Is that
4 and 5 are both 2nd floor cantilevered overhangs? Correct.
Okay, I just confused why is the requirement is different. That's all.
Let me see if I can require side yard setback 0.8. Alternative is 0.5 on the south lot line. Again, minimum required side yard setback. I believe it's beyond the 17 meters. It could be beyond the 17 meters of building length.
Sorry,
But
I
I'm
just
not,
want to add that there are two different bylaws, and
Yep.
the first one has
yes.
to do with because you are adjacent to another residential building. That's item number 4. Item number 5 is just a standalone bylaw that has nothing to do with other building next to you.
Oh, there is.
So the
correct.
examiner have to flag both just to make sure that it reflects what the bylaw is asking.
Good explanation. Thank you.
I've been through this before, sir.
Okay, any other questions, panel members? Okay, Mr. Lolos, we're actually ready to take it into committee. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go into committee and make a decision?
No, again, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, just once again, the present owners have talked to the neighbors, and they're both, and adjacent both sides, the attached body and the detached body, and they're both in support of our application.
Okay, well, let's take it into committee and make a decision.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Chan.
Okay, I will go first. I think that the variance is cumulatively also considered to be minor, and I'm ready to move for approval. And I do not, since they have the support by both neighbors, I do not think that it will create any negative impact. So there's no conditions for this.
Nope. Do I have a seconder for Ms. Chan's motion? Mr. Chang? Okay, so motion to approve moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Chang. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 37, 4 Belfair Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a 4-signature petition in support by owners and occupants of properties on Belfair and Waverly Road. And I don't have any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Hi, Chris, you've been unmuted.
Hello?
Hi, is this Christopher?
Yeah, sorry.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Are you speaking or is your agent speaking?
No, my agent is not speaking. This is, I live at 4 Belfair. I'm speaking on behalf of myself.
Okay, so just your last name for the record and your address, and then I don't think we need a presentation. We've got 2 variances before us, but the members might have some questions for you.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Christopher Hunsberger, and I live at 4 Belfair Avenue.
Okay, any questions for the owner, panel members? Okay, we don't have any questions for you. We're ready to make a decision on this. Is there anything you want to add that you feel the members should know before we take it into committee?
I don't think so. I will just say, you can see from our signatures of support that we went around to all the adjacent neighbors, and everybody's in full support of what we're hoping to do, which is a relatively minor expansion.
Okay, well, let's take it into committee. Mr. Chang.
Okay, I'll start on this. I think the reduction of the soft landscape is acceptable, and the GFA, I mean the area lot coverage is also, the floor space index is also acceptable. It's not more than 1, and it's quite common in this neighborhood. So I would like to make a motion to support this application.
All right, do I have a seconder for that? Okay, Mr. Solomon. So motion to approve moved by Mr. Chang, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 38, 253 Markham Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, presentation materials from the agent. We have 7 form letters in support from residents on Markham Street. And I am not showing any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Hello?
Hi. I just
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just need your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Jacob Jabali. I'm a licensed architect here in Ontario and also in Nova Scotia, and the applicant on behalf of my clients that reside at 453 Markham Street.
Okay, we have two variances before us. I don't believe we need a presentation. Any questions for the agent panel members? Okay, we don't have any questions. We're ready to make a decision on this one. Is there anything you want to add before we go into committee?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward here. Two minor variances. I feel like we have demonstrated through our letters of support here and several precedents within the street that, this is minor in nature and, should be approved.
Okay, well, let's take it into committee, panel members. Mr. Solomon.
I'm going to move approval of the variances. They are minor in nature, and what's being proposed is similar to what other houses appear to have in this area. I would move approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Ms. Chan, so motion to approve moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Okay, that's carries unanimously. All right, it's 4:22, so we're going to take another break till 4:30 for the next time slot. And then we will come back for item number 39. Wow. can I go? Oh, I don't know. I didn't see the signal. Okay. Okay, we're back. Item number 39, 130 Yardley Avenue. We have before us a copy of the draft plan of survey, copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations, revised site plan that was received on July 25th. 2 photographs of trees on the property, tree plans from the agent, as well as presentation materials. And we have a staff report from engineering asking for conditions. I'm showing 2 speakers in opposition. Do we have them both, or? Yeah? Okay. Do I have the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. This is Trevor Gain. I'm the agent here on behalf of the owners.
Hi. I'm going to need you to do a presentation, no more than 5 minutes. I have 2 opposition speakers listed.
Sure, no problem. So the application before you is to take an oversized lot within East York, and we're looking to convey it into 2 smaller parcels to build 2 single-family dwellings. Can I get my presentation material up on the screen?
Sure. Just give us a second.
Yep, it's there. So this is the photograph A. This is the existing dwelling. It's a 1.5-story single-family detached. Heading photographs B and C are sort of showing each direction to the left, to the right. Again, just predominantly the existing bungalows and 1.5 stories post-war dwellings. Page 2, looking straight across the street, you start seeing some developments from the late 80s, early 90s, some 2-story homes, larger homes, double-car garage, which occupies the full 50-foot frontage. Again, across the street, photograph B, we have some sort of modern houses that was recently built a couple years ago. Same with photograph E, that was a new house that was just recently built about a year ago. And but there's a predominant trend in this area of East York where, regardless of the required frontage, properties have been severed. So page 3, please. This is 97 Yardley, literally down the street. This was a severance that was approved by this panel, this committee, about a year or so ago. Again, similar properties, a 50-foot lot severed into 2 25s and 2 single-family dwellings. This was approved at a floor space of 77% coverage and, 42% coverage, 77% floor space index with a height of 8.43. Scroll down a little further, you can see this is the front elevation that was approved. Integral garage, 2-story house. Next page, page 4. Across the street from this development, 104 Yardley, again, just recently approved, still within their, satisfying their conditions of approval, 50-foot lot that was also severed into 2 25s, floor space at 90%, coverage at 42. And if you scroll down a little further, similar house design. We have an integral garage with the house sitting on top. So page 5. If you drive around this neighborhood, you'll see that this is a growing trend. So photograph F represents, right in the middle, you see a pair of houses that was severed a number of years ago beside a newer house on the left and a further house on the right. So a lot of times you hear, they talk about housing type. The houses might be tall and narrow, but if you look at the massing of this photograph, the massing of the 2 new houses kind of in the middle of the photograph are not really out of character in the terms of the massing of a larger property that could be developed as of right. Even with these houses slightly taller, and maybe there's a height variance, again, the scale and proportions is not out of character. And this is very similar to what we're proposing with the integral garage below with the house on top. Next page, please, page 6. And these are just some other photos. If you drive around Galbraith and around, you'll see further examples of 50-foot lots that have been severed and built with various variances, wall heights, GFA floor area in most cases. If you scroll down, photograph J, photograph K, you'll see more of the same. And page 7 is
just kind of a highlight of just typical development that's been happening. You see some older style homes, newer homes, two-story houses, some are smaller, some are bigger, basically a neighborhood in development. So what we're proposing here is this kind of, what you see, sort of a general trend of the ability to sever a lot in this area, and when its final massing is all done, it's sort of in keeping with the larger houses on the street. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, and I'll have you back after we hear from the opposition. Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Bryden.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, just need you to identify yourself, name and address for the record.
Bruce Bryden, 123 Yardley Avenue, across from this proposed monster home.
Alrighty, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I say, I see more and more of these developments, and primarily this place is a neighborhood of bungalows. Bigger houses, wider housing, that's fine. And what I toured is the houses 2 doors down from me, you know, they took the whole lot. There's more hard surfaces, more water has to go into the sewer drains. Sure, there's more traffic, more cars, more parking lots. And the houses, because of their tallness, they prevent any sun from the neighboring properties. Therefore, you can't grow as much or as well as if you didn't have that larger structure shadowed by these larger houses. You know, we're trying to help the environment, but it seems like it's money and larger property taxes, no doubt, and the developers making good fortune off of the decline of the environment and through these developments that we're ruining the, you know, a larger carbon footprint more and more all the time with these new larger developments. Like I say, you know, you don't have larger sewer drains, and yet you keep putting more water in it because you're adding more hard surfaces. And again, people can't or won't be able to grow as much or is able to grow flowers or plants that may want to live off of someday. But anyway, yeah, I object because if I don't reject the fact that we have to keep putting higher and bigger houses on this existing property, and rather than expanding what's inside it or down and below. Yeah, this just it's a obstruction, and it's to nature and to be able to live in a neighborhood that has similar characteristics, and put aside the developers' need for more profit and city for more taxes. Okay. And of course, those taxes will be passed on to me in the neighborhood, you know, because of these developments. Okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, I'll see if the members have any questions for you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, it just said it shouldn't be approved because of the height, blocking the sun, shadowing the sun for neighboring properties, adding to the water because of the you know, hard surfaces run the water into the sewage storm drains. And it's just a nice site with, you know, more and more higher, larger buildings rather than, you know, quaint bungalows that are mostly in this neighborhood up to now. And less need to use the TTC or the transit to save this planet, I hope, if we ever do, from destruction because of the developments overall. Okay, I'm finished.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker?
Of course not.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bryden. Do you have the next speaker?
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to express my concerns here. My name is Rena Khan, and I am here speaking on behalf of 134 Yardley. That is the dwelling immediately beside the applicant to the east. You know, my submissions are the application does not meet the 4-part test established under subsection 45.1, This is not a minor variance. It's not minor in size nor in impact. The change is just simply too large for the neighborhood, and it is, I respectfully disagree with the submissions that were made. This is not the trend in the neighborhood. The proposed setback on the east side is 0.61 meters or 2 feet from our property line. The garage is specifically of concern to me. That's our garage, in the sense that the digging of the foundation would be inches away from our garage, which would likely cause disturbance to the ground around our garage and potential for damage. There's a green hedge on our side of the property, which is very close to the property line, which will likely be destroyed by the digging. Roots will be affected and will essentially just kill off that hedge. There's a shadow impact. Right now, I understand it to be a proposed 2-story property, which will cause a new shadow by the afternoon sun, which of course doesn't exist now. It's not an appropriate change for the neighborhood. There doesn't appear to be any other single-family properties of this size that's split into 2 houses, or that is proposed to be split into 2 houses. I disagree with the pictures that were submitted as comparables. I don't think they're comparables. You know, a lot of the properties that have been erected are single-family dwellings on you know, lots of this size. The proposal is to put 2-family dwellings on a property of this size, which just seems unreasonable.
Anything?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Sorry, just I'm mindful of the time, but I have 2 more parts of the test that I need to.
You have lots of time.
Yeah, 2 more parts of the test. So number 3, it doesn't meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The proposed setback doesn't maintain appropriate relationships between the buildings, and it removes parking. So right now there's a long driveway on the applicant's property. There's also a parking pad at the back. You know, the proposal would allow for 2 cars at most, if approved. And some of the green space in front of the property that currently exists would also be compromised. It's, you know, this is a question I'm throwing out there for the agent. It's unclear what they're planning on putting on the foot strip between 134 and 130. And you know, lastly, the proposal doesn't meet the general intent of the official plan. It doesn't respect the character of the neighborhood. It's massive. By putting 2 dwellings on a property where a single family dwelling exists, just cannot be the intent of the bylaw.
Okay. Anything else or?
May I have your indulgence for just a minute? I'm going to consult with my husband.
Yep.
Anything? Subject to any questions, those are my submissions on this.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions? Mr. Solomon.
So I just wanted to ask the resident, does she believe that the lot character for this area is 50-foot lots or 25-foot lots?
It's my understanding from the material that it's a 50-foot lot being divided into 2 25-foot lots.
Yeah, but I guess I'm asking you, like, you live in that neighborhood, and so along your street and in the adjacent streets, what would you say is the character of what would you say is the lot sizes for most of the lots?
35 to 50 or something like that. What I can say is the applicant's property is one of the smaller lots, and you know, looking at some of the submissions here, you have them in the documents. I don't know what document it is; it's not identified, but it shows Galbraith, it shows Yardley. You can see that some of the changes that have been made are to bigger lots. This is not one of those lots. There are a number of smaller lots On Yardley, there are smaller lots on Galbraith. So, you know, the comparables that they're showing you are not true comparables.
Thank you.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Khan.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Mr. Gain, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, can you speak to the issues raised? And do you know what size the frontage is for number 29? 129, sorry. Yardley?
129 across the street. I believe that's a 30 or 35-foot lot.
Okay.
Existing. So I'll start with the site plan that's on the screen. One question was talking about the side yard setback of 0.61. That's an internal side yard setback between our proposed houses. So on the east, where the cursor is right now, and on the west, on the opposite side, we have 1.2 meters, which is an as-of-right setback according to the zoning bylaw. So, yeah, that's as of right. What else was raised here? Regarding the green space, it was mentioned that we have no landscape variances on that site plan. The shaded area that's representing all the grass or softscaping that'll be on the site, we meet the intent of the bylaw, we meet the numbers and then some, so there's no variance for that. Regarding the parking, we have no variances of parking. We're providing one parking spot. And this is similar as far as hardscape and garage doors are concerned, that if this was one single-family dwelling in the 3,000 square foot range or more, there would probably be a double-car garage, so we'd have a 6-meter wide driveway, 2 garage doors, similar to any other photos that I've presented earlier. In this particular case, we just have 2 garage doors, each within their own single-family dwelling. So I disagree with that this is an overdevelopment. This is very, very, very much in character what was just recently approved down the street and what has been approved sporadically around the neighborhood. So the growing trend, if it's severances or not, but there is development in this area. And the previous photos that I showed you on page 5, where we talked about some existing 2-story houses, full width, compared to a severed property in the middle. This would be on page 5. You can see right there, there's a prime example of massing. And to me, in my opinion, that is not out of character. That's not a massing. The houses are not taller. They're not standing out as a sore thumb. Regarding the height, we're proposing 8.43 meters to the top of everything. The bylaw allows 8.5 meters. So if this was a low-sloping roof, we would have no variances. The owners decided a modern design, so we have a flat roof on top. So the shadowing, the massing is comparable. Yes, there's going to be shadows being cast because right now there's a bungalow, but we cannot say that the trend or the predominant nature of a neighborhood is post-war bungalows. There is development coming. People are building houses, and by building a pair of houses that are just around 2,000 square feet, they're small, they're affordable, and that's what we're trying to do. So regarding the hedge and the trees, like I said, we have adequate setback, 1.2 meters on the east side. I believe I've answered most of those questions. Now, sewer and engineering, this was all, of course, because of the severance, was all vetted through Planning Act. Planning had no concerns with the proposal. Engineering has no concerns with the proposal. There's adequate sewer systems, and that's all done through our stormwater management anyways. I believe that's my rebuttal, if there's any other further questions.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Solomon?
Yeah, have you done a lot study for this area to show what is the predominant lot size frontage? Like, you're showing us photographs, but I don't have a sense of, of 100 lots in this area, what is the predominant lot character size?
Yeah, we didn't do the lot study. Working with planning, they seemed it was acceptable. So I'll just on the record say that majority of the lots are the 50-foot in this area, and the zoning does want 12 meters of frontage. But for whatever reason, this section of East York does allow severances, and I just try to capture some of them in the photograph. So I don't think we can say that the majority of the properties are being severed. It really depends on the applicant and the owners and what they want to do. But the severance is in this from 25 foot or from 50s down to 25, which is pretty much the severances that have been approved on Yardley and these ones on the photographs, it is deemed acceptable.
Any further questions, panel members? Okay, not seeing any more questions. Let's take it into committee. Any comments? Ms. Chan?
Yeah, I'd just like to start with a comment in terms of the lot size, but when I look at the aerial view of the area, they're actually further down to the west or Yardley. There are a lot of lots that are less than the 12 meter for sure. They may be about 7 to 8 meter. So that's not unusual for this lot size if you consider a lot be in the whole area. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Any other comments, Mr. Reed?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'd agree with Yim. I think that there are a lot of 50-foot lots, clearly, but I think there's a pretty big range of lot sizes. I think also the variances being requested for these new smaller lots are really quite minor, I think, objectively. And so I think that goes to show that the lot sizes are appropriate and the sizes of the houses that they're proposing are not extreme. So I support this application.
Mr. Solomon?
Yeah, I think the variances are minor in nature, and I would have liked if they would have been, the applicant would have been able to provide either a map showing the various lots and what their sizes are, or some type of a study table showing, so that it would not be incumbent upon us to have to try to figure out what the lot size character is.
I agree with Limbaugh. Actually, yes, it will be a lot easier for us instead of like we have to Google and then we have to think about it. And yeah, I wish they have a lot analysis to present to us. Yeah, but overall, I think I agree with Peter. Overall, the when you look at the existing house on the lot, it seems there is there is a potential for more dense development. And if there's no other comment, I would like to move for approval, subject for 31A, the surface engineering conditions.
And standard consent conditions?
Yes, that's yes, that's what, yeah, the standard consent. And the other ones, no conditions for the other ones.
No. So Ms. Chan moves approval with the engineering conditions in the May 17th report, standard consent. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Chang? All in favor? That carries unanimously. Okay, item number 40, 47 Carrick Avenue. We have before us a copy of the minutes from the March 20th public hearing, as well as the materials submitted at that time. We have a copy of the survey, plan of survey, revised site plan, floor plans and elevations, covering letter from the agent, and we received email correspondence without an address late in our supplemental agenda yesterday. I am showing one speaker. Do we have that person? Okay. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, committee members, Madam Chair. Graham Barrett, agent for the owner of 47 Carrick Avenue. I'm at 1575 Dundas Street West.
Alrighty, I have one speaker. So if you can do a presentation, please, no more than 5 minutes. Do you need us to put something on the screen?
Sure, that would be lovely. I sent in a cover letter explaining rationale. If that could be put up on screen, that'd be great.
Is that the covering letter?
Yes, cover letter has some images attached to it as well.
Okay. The latest,
Okay, so
the latest one, right? Not the older one.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, thank you. So if you'll recall the previous committee meeting, the lot configuration at the end of Carrick Avenue is very unusual. Just to refresh your memory, if you look at page 6 of the submitted material, I've included the zoning map. So you will see that 47 Carrick Avenue is highlighted there, and the neighboring property at 49 is set back quite a bit on a pie-shaped lot between number 47 and 51. So at the last meeting, the neighbor from 49 attended and had concerns, and the committee decided that this item should be deferred with instructions to obtain a shadow study and to address the concerns raised by the immediate neighbor. And I'm pleased to report that this has been done. A shadow study was prepared, and it showed there would be enough of an impact on the neighboring dwelling to warrant some revisions. The owner worked closely with his architect and made adjustments to the plans to increase the amount of light making its way to the house next door. This has also resulted in improvements aesthetically. The original and revised front and side elevations are also included on pages 3, 4, and 5 of the document in front of you. So you can get a kind of side by side of what was originally planned and what is now proposed. The architect also provided an explanation about the change in the roof line. So I prefer his words, being more knowledgeable about design than me. He says the main revision to the previous C of A proposal is concerning the flat roof type. It has been redesigned as a skillion roof, which will lower the north sidewall elevation by 0.9 meters or 3 feet along the entire length of the house. This will allow more sun into the adjacent north lot. In order for this alternative roof design to be constructed, the existing dormer would need to be demolished and rebuilt as part of the west elevation. This integrated design of existing and proposed would also present better to the street rather than treated as separate entities. So those are his words. The shadow study was then redone to reflect the changes, and the improvements are shown. The impacts on neighboring properties will be fairly minimal when compared with existing. These shadow studies are also included in the appendices of the cover letter. And I've also included an email from the owner of 49 Carrick, in which, and I quote, she gives her blessing. Planning staff are unopposed. A large number of residents of the street had previously indicated they're in support, and they remain in support. There have been some minor changes to the proposed variances, but the most important is the reduction in side main wall heights, allowing for greater light penetration and reduced shadowing. I believe this proposal is revised, passes the 4 tests, and we're pleased that we managed to work with interested parties to address the concerns that were previously raised. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and thank you.
Okay, I'm going to hold member questions till after we hear from the opposition, and then we'll have you back. Okay, do you have them on the line?
My name is Diana Bowman-Minnis, and I live at 51 Carrick Avenue.
Okay, I need you to speak up a bit because we can barely.
Is this better?
Say something else.
Is this better?
Yes.
Anything?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. My name is Diana Bowman-Minnis, and I live at 51 Carrick Avenue. I had sent a little presentation to better illustrate my concerns.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, so give staff a minute to find it here. Is it freezing?
Okay, there it is.
That one? Okay.
That's it.
All right.
So if you could scroll down for me. Oh, not quite that far. So our houses are quite unique in their positioning. I live at 51, which is the semi-detached house on the left. 49 Carrick is in the middle. As you can see, it is quite set back from the curb, and then 47 Carrick is on the right. We are so lucky in our semi-detached house in that we get direct sunlight in our east, south, and west facing windows. And the window that I'm really concerned about that the development at 47 Carrick Avenue will affect is the window circled in red. It is the window for my 2-year-old son's bedroom, and it's actually also my office during the day because it's nicer to work at a desk than at the kitchen table. So if you can go to the next slide, please. This is the view from that window. And so you can see that my desk is situated directly in front of it, and that's because I love having the light coming in. And the view on the right is when I'm standing a little bit closer to my son's crib, and you can see that we actually have like a pretty nice view of sky. And if you go to the next slide, you can see how this is so unique, especially for a semi in our neighborhood on our street. The view on the right there is the other side of my semi-detached home. That's their view from their similar window, and their identical layouts just reversed. So this window and the amount of light that comes in is incredibly valuable to me and to my house, and it's one of the things that I love about it most because it's so uncommon. So if you continue on, this is the current side profile of the house. And next slide. I've superimposed my window's view on the current view to show you how it roughly matches up. And then next slide. This is the proposed new side view that they will be putting on. Next slide. I've superimposed my window onto that, and then next slide. You can see roughly what my view will become. I'm going to be losing most of the view of the sky. And next slide. There you can see a true comparison. Next slide, please. And here I've like roughly shown you what the new view will be based on the designs proposed. And you can see that we're losing a lot of the view of the sky. Next slide, please. So the shade study that was done, it wasn't really focused on our house. It was mostly focused on 49 Carrick because they had opposed at the first hearing. And even though it's showing that on March 21st in the year, this shadow won't really be affecting that window. In the winter, I have concerns that we will be losing a lot of light when the sun is lower in the sky. And to be quite honest with you, I already suffer from seasonal affective disorder, and there's a reason why my office desk is situated directly in front of a window. That was very much on purpose. And I do believe that the amount of sunlight that this window receives will be impacted by this development. Next slide, please. In terms of the impact on the neighborhood in general, on our street, which is a small little dead-end street, there are no third-story houses. The closest is like maybe an attic, but it doesn't stand out the way that this would. And on the next slide,
sorry, but I need you to wrap up. You're
okay.
over 5 minutes.
I'm almost done. Sorry. Next slide, please. You can see what it will look like from the curb. It is not in character with the rest of the street, which all have houses in fronts that look very much like 49, 47 and 40 or 51 as is. So it will stand out like a sore thumb, and the difference in height will be even more noticeable because of how set back 49 Carrick is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get you to.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off now. Okay, do I have Mr. Barrett? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Can you can you speak to those issues, please? And we'll set the clock again for 5 minutes.
Sure, gladly. Now, unfortunately, I only received an email from the last speaker expressing these concerns 2 weeks ago. And this file has been delayed considerably and has been in a state of limbo since it was deferred, and the owner went through considerable effort and expense to get a shadow study done and consult with the one neighbor who had expressed concerns previously. Had we known that the next neighbor over also had concerns, we certainly would have engaged with her as well. But 2 weeks ago, I responded to her email and I shared a marked up copy of the shadow study with my best estimate of where that window in question is. And it didn't appear to be impacted significantly at most times of the year and at most times of the day, other than perhaps the winter, as she mentioned. Now, I also offered in that email 2 weeks ago to chat the following week if there are any questions. If we could discuss it at all, I'd be happy to. And I haven't heard anything back since then. So I would have been happy to discuss this with her leading up to this meeting, but despite my best efforts, that did not happen. Now, this side window, and I do understand she has a unique situation where she gets significant light penetration at this window, which again won't necessarily be compromised significantly by this addition, but it is set back quite far from the front of the house. It's only unobstructed by virtue of the unusual setback of 49 Carrick and the unusual lot configuration at the end of the street. Pretty much anywhere else in the city of Toronto, having a side-facing second floor window where setback requirements are fairly minimal, you're not going to get that type of light. So I agree it's a unique situation. Speaking for the neighborhood in general, there are 3-story homes being built in the immediate area, not necessarily on this end of Carrick Avenue, but I've included some pictures. There's a new one on Prescott going in nearby. There's another one about 90 meters away across the park. 3-story homes are certainly coming. I expect that we'll see more of them. And the neighborhood was overwhelmingly in support when the owner went out and spoke to many of them and obtained letters of support previously. So I wish I'd been made aware of these concerns months ago when this was deferred and when we were working on it, but I suppose it is what it is. I still believe that the revised proposal is an improvement over existing. It will fit nicely on the street and it passes the 4 tests. So happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Chan.
Yes, I have one question. On the purpose clause, you have mentioned that there is a 2-level or second level deck and pergola. I do not. I cannot. Do you have pictures or drawings that showing it?
There will be a rear second-story deck located within the building footprint. The rear yard has an existing garage and pergola, which are to remain. There are photos of that included with the package that I submitted.
But it says on the second level. What I look at the drawing, I can't find anything that's showing there's a second level deck.
Just a moment.
And a pergola.
Just a moment, please. Pergola is existing in the rear yard, so if you take a look at the images, you'll see that.
Second level or a ground level?
Oh, I'm sorry, ground level.
Yeah. So I got confused by the purpose clause. Then I thought that it's on the second level, but if you read the purpose clause, maybe you can. So the pergola is the north side of the garage. Is it what it is?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I think the drawings may be a little confusing. If you look at the proposed 3rd floor plan, you'll see there's a bathroom at the back. There's a space with a table shown at the back of the home. On the 2nd floor plan, there's a deck, proposed covered deck under addition. That is the proposed 2nd floor deck within the building footprint on the 2nd floor.
Oh.
You see?
Yeah.
So the purpose is correct. There is a deck on the 2nd floor that will be within the footprint. So more like a patio, I suppose.
Thank you.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Let's take this into committee. Any comments? Mr. Reid.
Thanks, Chair. I can start. I think that it's commendable the amount of work that the owners of this have made to address the concerns of the immediate neighbor to the north. I do understand the concerns of the additional neighbor who made a presentation today in relation to loss of sunlight, but I do think that that loss is quite minimal in terms of what can be constructed as of right. So in other words, to say, I think the variances being requested are minor, and I support this application.
Okay, anyone else? You want to move a motion then?
Yes, I'm happy to move a motion for approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Mr. Solomon? So motion to approve the application, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 41, 16 Crocker Avenue. We have before us a copy of the minutes from the April 27th public hearing, as well as the materials submitted at that time. Copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from the agent, as well as presentation materials. We have opposition from 21-9 Bellwoods Avenue, as well as 14 Crocker Avenue. We actually received 2 pieces of correspondence from them. We have a 27 signature petition in opposition, signed by owners and occupants of properties on Crocker and Bellwoods. And we received in our supplemental agenda opposition from number 10, Crocker, and somebody named English with no address provided. I'm showing six opposition speakers. Do we have them all? Okay. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Rafiq Hanna. I'm at 43 Conklin Crescent, Aurora, L4G0Z3.
Okay, I'm going to need you to do a presentation, and if you can keep it to 5 minutes, that would be great, and we'll start the clock now.
Yeah. Is it possible to pull out the presentation?
Yeah, which do you want? I show a covering letter and presentation material. What do you want?
Yeah, that's the one.
Which one?
The one that's shown now.
Oh. That? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So basically, the presentation is addressing the points that is in the petition. So I'll start with parking. I'm quoting this from the email sent from the transportation services, and it says that 89 permits issued for 1,074 available spaces as of August 8, 2022. So transportation services has no objection to the minor variance application at 16 Crocker. And my personal experience when visiting the property, I always find the parking either on Crocker Avenue, Bellwoods Avenue, or Robinson Street. So that's the parking. If we can move to page number 2. Okay, regarding the scale, I will just bring in some examples from the same street. This is 9 Crocker Avenue. It's in the corner between Crocker Avenue and Bellwoods Avenue. As you can see, it has a raised main floor and 2 stories on top of it, so it's a 3-story. And the picture from the back will come, later in the presentation. It's a full 3-story house. Next page, please. This is 10 Crocker Avenue and 34 Claremont. One of them is right next to the proposal, and the other one is in the side lane. As you can see, one of them, which is 10 Crocker Avenue, I'm going to talk about this one in the next slide. And 34 Claremont is a full 3 stories. Also, it's worth to say that in Bellwoods Avenue, you can see 3-story houses using the attic area. Space all over. Next slide, please. So since that house, which is 10 Crocker Avenue, is next to the proposed development, I've made this, small illustration that can help us, imagine how this proposed building will be. So 10 Crocker Avenue, which is the 2-story house with the stone. I understand it's in the permits, and in the city it's a 2-story house, but it's well known by builders and real estate that this is a 3-story house. The reason They call it this way because basically you put the main floor on top of the garage to have more area. So you, as you can see, there's like 5, 6 steps to the main door, I'm sorry, and then most probably there is more steps to this. So it's a garage and then 2 stories on top of it. So next slide, please. I've made some assumptions. This is not 100% accurate for sure, but the minimum usable garage size is 7 feet. And I'm assuming compared to the other house next to it, which is 14 Crocker Avenue, which is a 2-story house too. But this one is much higher. I'm assuming that the ceiling height is at least 9 foot with 1 feet for the subfloor. And then this very nice sloped pitched roof with 5 feet. This is just assumptions compared to the development that I'm proposing, which will be will have the main floor at 3.5 feet above the ground, and then 9 feet, 1 feet for the subfloor, another 9 feet, 1 feet, and then the third floor extension is in the back, which is 8 feet and then 1 feet. Next slide, please. What really helps too is adding this green roof and putting those steps in the front and in the back. It will help make the scale a little bit, even though there is also 3-story developments in the same street and same area. So next slide, please. I believe this what leads the city planning staff to send this email or this report. So city staff do not have concerns with the revised variances and impact proposed and flow space index and front and rear exterior main wall height is mitigated through stepping down of heights at the front and rear of the dwelling. Next slide, please. Now about architecture, I've read something regarding the exterior finishes. So in the whole area in the neighborhood, there are so many different finishes that is applied to the exteriors of the houses. I've just brought 3 of the examples in Crocker Avenue. So 9 Crocker Avenue rear addition. This one I talked about in the beginning. This is in the corner between Crocker and Bellwoods. As you can see, there is a extension of the third floor addition, and it's aluminum, and the garage and 100%.
I can't hear you anymore. Are you like away from the mic?
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yeah, now I can. So maybe just repeat the last sentence if you don't mind.
Okay, this is 9 Crocker Avenue. I'm talking now about the finishes of the exterior because I read a note in the petition that it's all bricks in the street. I respectfully disagree with that. So this is 9 Crocker Avenue, and 9 Crocker Avenue had an extension with a 3rd floor, and it's aluminum, and I'm not sure if the garage is aluminum or stucco. Next slide, please. By the way, what I'm proposing is bricks or stone, wood siding, and aluminum or stucco. That's what I am proposing. So next slide, please. This is 3 Crocker Avenue. Again, it's wood and aluminum. Next one. 2 Crocker Avenue. It's aluminum and most probably vinyl on top of the garage. And you can see next to it is bricks with different color, and there's stone with totally different colors. So all types of finishes, exterior finishes. There's a vast, diversity in this. So
you're
next
coming
slide,
up to 5 minutes, so can you wrap up, please?
Yes. Next one, please. Privacy. We can jump to the plan, to the map. So next one. Next one. This is the balcony on 10 Crocker Avenue, which is in the raised 2nd floor, overlooking all the backyards of the Bellwoods Avenue houses. Next one, please.
I'm going to stop you here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to the opposition, and you'll have an opportunity to speak to the concerns that are raised after we hear from the opposition, okay? Thank you. Okay. Do you have Mr. Way on the line?
Yeah. Hi, John. You've been unmuted.
Mr. Way?
Hello.
Hi. Can you identify yourself, please, for the record, name and address?
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time? I think the unmuting and unmuting did something to this program. One more time?
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, it's John Way at 3 Bellwoods Avenue. I am an owner occupant of the property that I live in.
Okay. Did you sign up to be on the video feed? Or
No.
You're okay with audio? Okay.
Audio is fine. Is it
Okay.
my turn right now to speak?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I won't take that much time. So basically, I've signed a petition, and I just want to echo all the objections and concerns raised. But one specific thing, since the owner mentioned parking, I'm going to speak to that. That's my biggest concern. I walk by that street, that property twice a day. I'm going to work, coming back, and parking is not easy, right? Now, I understand if you statistically treat the entire area 4H, and parking will always tell you there's enough parking. But this area, this quadrant we live in, is kind of a Bermuda's Triangle in terms of available spaces because of the presence of a fire station on Claremont Street. In fact, the owner said when he comes here, he finds parking on 3 streets, Crocker, Bellwoods, and Robinson. But he fails to mention the other street where for 2 blocks, no cars allowed to park, and that's zoning. That's because of the fire station. And because of that, we really have a dearth of eligible spaces. Okay, so for people who need parking, who don't have off-street parking, garages and so forth, this is pretty vital, pretty essential. Now, I understand that the bylaws are changing such that new developments and multiple dwelling no longer are required to provide parking themselves. However, this will not prevent new owners and also whoever they rent it out to, short-term or long-term, from applying for temporary spaces. So I can only see the existing problem, which I personally attest to as being already quite severe, to get much worse. And that's just because this property is being proposed, but similar properties right adjacent to it that our petition speaks to, I think it's just going to be a nightmare. So I have nothing else to add. Okay, so everything else I think I agree with on the petition, and other people who signed it, some of whom will probably speak after me. All right, thank you very much. I yield back to the Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Panel members,
Okay.
do you have any questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you, sir. Do you have the next speaker on the line?
Hi, Leslie. You've been unmuted.
Hi, committee. My name is Leslie Aiken. I live at 19 Crocker, which is right across the street from this address. I have several concerns about this proposal. For one, the unit sizes. This owner is proposing 3 tiny units on a very small piece of property. In the past, this home has been rented out through this owner through Airbnb for short-term rentals. We had a massive noise issue last summer with a gentleman and his wife who were there for actually 3 months. They had rented it for longer than 1 or 2 nights, but with total disregard for the neighborhood, they stayed up late, played music, and there was no recourse. We didn't know what the owner's name was. There was nothing we could do. We talked to the renter, and he was completely oblivious and didn't care. So for me, the size of the units is an issue because I think they're very small. They're going to lend themselves to short-term rentals, which is concerning for a long-term owner in the neighborhood. I don't mind long-term rentals. I think long-term rentals are important. We need affordable housing with livable space in the city and especially in our neighborhood. So long-term rentals are fine, but the size of these units are very concerning to me. It feels like this is a commercial endeavor on a residential street. This owner has not contacted me. I know that he's emailed one of my neighbors in the course of his application. He knew our names and addresses. I have not met him. I have not spoken to him, and I'm concerned about his commitment to our neighborhood. And if he's planning on renting in this short-term way, there's no recourse. There's no commitment to the neighborhood at all. We're a neighborhood of long-term owners and renters. We have lots of rental units on the street. We have many families and individuals who've been here for many years, renting and owning. It's a lovely neighborhood, and we're all committed to, you know, supporting each other and also to limited noise. I mean, if a neighbor is you know, upset about something, we talk about it and deal with it, but it's not, you know, we've never had noise as an issue in this neighborhood. The other thing I'm worried about is the height on this particular build. It backs onto several properties on Bellwoods. Some of those tenants and owners have signed concerned about their gardens and the shadows that this new build will produce in their yards. The other thing I'm worried about is the hot tub suggested for the third floor balcony, which to me is just a signal for this other short-term rental suggestion. It's, you know, that's a sign to me that he's planning on renting these out for 2 or 3 nights at a time. And in terms of noise, late at night, people sitting in this hot tub, you know, potentially partying. My bedroom is right across the street from this unit. We had so much noise last summer, it was very disturbing. And the fact that this is one of 4 tiny houses on Crocker, I know that this owner has spoken to his neighbor, who is also a landlord, and it plans to do exactly the same thing to his unit once this one is built. And I'm concerned that these 3 tiny units, there's parking, there's noise, it will change the nature of our community. We are already dealing with, you know, thousands of condo units in the neighborhood, which are wonderful. We need housing, but on our tiny little street, there's only a certain capacity that we can manage. And I'm worried about this owner's commitment to our neighborhood and his plans, his future planned use for these 3 teeny tiny little units. Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you, Ms. Aiken. Do you have the next speakers on the line?
Hi, Maria or Victor, you've been unmuted.
Hello, 1 second.
Hi.
Sorry, can the committee hear me at this point?
Yeah, I just need your name and address for the record, then we'll start the clock and you have 5 minutes.
Sure. My name is Maria Kazarni. I'm an owner of actually 10 Crocker Avenue as well as 14. Before I start speaking about my concerns, I do want to make mention that Mr. Hanna has mentioned that he has had no problem parking on Crocker and Bellwoods. I've never seen him actually park on the street. He's always parked in the laneway, which is between 16 Crocker and 14 Crocker. So basically blocking the laneway at all times. The other thing that he's mentioned is specifically my property, 10 Crocker. When I built this home, there was never a height variance. The only 2 variances that I've had was the below grade garage, which I changed to a street level garage, as well as the amount of greenery or green space, which actually went through okay. So basically, my husband and I strongly oppose to convert this bungalow into a multi-story unit. Mr. Hanna had adjourned this meeting, and I was hoping he would revise his proposal, but unfortunately, the essence of the proposal remains the same. Nothing really has changed. The variances are not minor. The proposal should be desirable and appropriate for the development and or use of the land, which it's not for us as a community and neighborhood. We do not feel that the proposal satisfies your criteria to allow this to happen. He has demonstrated that he wants to run short-term rental business. This is clear with the past and current tenants living at 16 Crocker Avenue. He has not lived here at all. He's not the principal homeowner. it's not compatible or appropriate with our community or our residents. The noise level was terrible, and it still is. It's very problematic. Adding the water bubbling in the hot tubs will additionally add to the noise pollution. The architecture of the proposed multi-story unit does not suit the neighborhood at all. It's visually is not compatible. No curb appeal. The scale is extensive. Does not fit the existing scale of existing homes. Parking is a challenge on Crocker and surrounding areas. This is a street that's one street north of busy Queen Street West. Right now, it's a single family home. Adding 3 units, multi-story, multi-person dwelling will only add to the problem. And granting additional street parking does not actually solve any kind of problem. It just adds to the lack of street parking. It just does not fit the fabric and the intent of our neighborhood. It's a family home neighborhood with a long-term commitment to the community. And clearly, this is not the intent of the plan. It does not solve the housing crisis. It actually takes away from potential space for long-term residents. It's a larger carbon footprint, and the overall, the proposed unit does not add any benefit and does not complement the existing homes and flavor of the neighborhood. So I urge the committee to please not allow this multi-unit, 3-level story hot tub unit to be done on our small residential street. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for the speaker, panel members? Seeing none? Okay, thank you very much. Do you have the next speaker?
Hi,
Natalia Namaliska. Hello?
Hi, okay, go ahead. Can you just state your name and address for the record?
Yeah. So I live at 14 Crocker Avenue along with my elderly mother. And so we are the house where you have you have 16 Crocker outlined. We are directly across the lane from 16 Crocker Avenue. So we're basically, adjacent to one another, and we're neighbors. I also would like to, I guess, support and confirm everything that has been said earlier. But I'd like to also just maybe make a point here, because there was a presentation that was made by the owner of 16 Crocker Avenue, and he sort of had this imaginary, kind of hypothetical picture of how the house would look, and then right next to the actual property, 16 Crocker Avenue, which is a semi-detached home, he conveniently put in a bunch of shrubbery. So blurring out the fact that that is a bungalow, and there's you purposely placed that there just so that you would not see the difference in size and impact of the existing, your existing twin bungalow with what you are proposing to build. So I just wanted to make that point. But let's get to my presentation. So obviously, I'm strongly opposed to this development in its current form. As I said, I am an immediate neighbor, so there's a laneway that's separating us, and I co-own the house along with my elderly mother, who lives at 14 Crocker Avenue. First of all, I wanted to kind of mention the footprint. So this proposed development is completely changing the footprint of what was there earlier. It is going to essentially become the first and only building along our street that is going to be at this height and mass. And as our colleagues and friends have already indicated, 14 Crocker Avenue is a dead-end street. It's a very small street. It's one street north of Queen Street West, and we are sandwiched between Claremont and Bellwoods Avenue and as has already been mentioned, is the home to our firefighters. So, the proposed development, notwithstanding what's happening, around us, is not in parity with its neighboring twin bungalow. So they're identical. Secondly, I also wanted to kind of pipe in and say that it's not in line with the characteristics of our street. We did not say that, there's no aluminum and there's no this and no siding. No, but it's organically built into the framework and into the kind of composition of how the houses look. They complement one another. Even the houses that were shown by the owner of 16 Crocker Avenue, those that were aluminum, they were all kind of the same, right? So there was a red, black. So I mean, there was sort of an attempt to not stick out as a sore thumb. So if you take a look at the houses that are on Crocker Avenue, they are, essentially single family homes. They're built largely in the Victorian style. They were built in the last century, mostly brick with wood accents and a little bit of aluminum here and there and siding. And also the modernized homes, including 10 Crocker Avenue, has also kind of maintain that same style. And I would like to also add that when those minor variances were requested, none of the neighbors objected. So there was complete, let's say, support from the neighbors and the neighborhood, and there were no objections to that dwelling being built, which is a single family dwelling being built at 10 Crocker Avenue. Also, the proposed expansion in height and mass. I mean, there's going to be a direct visual impact for me personally, and also for my mother who lives with me. Privacy issues, the additional stories and the decks, they're going to be directly looking into our bedrooms, lower floors, and also into our backyard. And of course, there's going to be a direct sunlight impact for us directly.
Natalia, you're almost at 5 minutes. I need you to wrap up.
I'm wrapping up. And then there's also, the issue of no parking. I think we covered that quite well. And also the issue of, not really being used as a high quality use of space. So there's a plethora of small units in the area, condominiums for singles. As we said,
okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off now. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you very much, Natalia. Do you have James Lennox on the line? No? What about Susan Thompson? Okay.
Hi, Susan, you've been unmuted.
Thank you so much. I'm 25 Crocker Avenue. I'm right across the street, and my dear neighbors have given a wonderful argument. I also signed the document that was submitted. I have concerns how it's, as Leslie had stated, a commercial enterprise, and that has been primarily Airbnb rentals, and given the really small scale that's taking place and the hot tub, which would be looking right into my window right across the street, just has such concern about, in terms of as a residential space and long-term rentals, like how it just the intent really goes against, in terms of as a commercial enterprise, really goes against this wonderful neighborhood where folks are, supporting one another so I don't feel so skillful as my colleagues. I wasn't prepared to talk, but I would love another opportunity to really make a strong argument. And I had heard that also that the owner was going to approach us, knowing that we had concerns, and I was not approached. And so I'd really like more discussion around how are we working together as a community. Thank you so much for this opportunity to give voice.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thompson. Panel members, do you have any questions for the speaker? No? Okay, Mr. Hanna, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Before you speak to the concerns, I was just looking at the minutes. It was deferred so that you could make revisions, but also that you could consult with the community. Did you consult with the community?
I sent an email with some clarification points, and I tried to contact Mrs. Maria, 10 Crocker Avenue, 2 weeks ago, but with no success.
All right, but you didn't have like a community gathering or anything?
No, I did not.
Okay, go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
So I'll try to wrap things up. First of all, regarding the noise, I honestly didn't hear about this until I read the petition, and if anyone reached to me, I've done something. I just need to mention regarding Airbnb, I cannot do an Airbnb per night, 1 or 2 nights. It's by the regulations of the City of Toronto now, it's minimum 28 nights, which is between brackets long-term by the definition of the City of Toronto. So the minimum is 28 nights, as mentioned by one of my neighbors, that some people stay 3 months. 3 months, I had people stay for 1, 2, and 3 months. Regarding the privacy, I would like to go back to my presentation, page number, the privacy on Bellwoods. Let's page number 14. 13, actually 13 and 14. That's the on 10 Crocker Avenue. That's again a balcony with no privacy screens on the 2nd floor, overlooking over the backyards in Bellwoods. And then when you go to page number 15, please. So the 2 red rectangles are basically on 10 Crocker Avenue and 34 Claremont, and they are on the 2nd and 3rd floor facing all this. But when you look at 16, facing all the backyards, I mean, but when you look at 16 Crocker Avenue, see 2 L-shaped green line, and which is privacy screen, 6-foot privacy screen in each balcony. And this, I don't think this the backyards will have any privacy issues. Speaking of privacy, regarding 14 Crocker Avenue, if we go to the plans, I don't see even one single window at this side. Maybe my neighbor is talking about the front and rear deck, but let's if we go to the 3rd floor plan, I'll talk about the hot tub too. So the 3rd floor plan, you can see the hot tub, to the rear of the house, and one side of the hot tub is a 6-foot privacy screen. The other side of the hot tub is a stairs structure, and then we have the rest of the deck. So again, last page of my presentation, there is just a basic study of what hot tubs can do. This is, by the way, this is a very, very small 2-person hot tub, what I'm proposing here, and this what can fit. And this is not, I mean, like a 10-person hot tub that is designed for parties and gatherings. No, it's a very small thing, just to add a sense of luxury to this house. So I'm currently using Airbnb application to rent a long-term, by definition of City of Toronto, long-term rentals, because I don't know when I will start or if I will start this construction, so I cannot commit to a long-term rental by, I mean, 1 or 2 years. Regarding the height variance, when Mrs. Maria was talking, 10 Crocker Avenue, yes, you do not need a height variance because you have a different, the roof is sloped, and compared to a flat roof in the proposed, that's the only reason you didn't need to go to a height variance. And yes, when you're putting the garage on top of the floor or on the grade, this is what is called in the market a 3-story house. And you can see if there is something that is sticking out of scale in the street. I think if we can go back to page number 3, you can see the house 10 Crocker Avenue is at. You can see it's compared to the other house, which is 14 and 2-story house. It's really high and really big. What else? Regarding the busy Queen Street, yes, I know it's near. It's one intersection of this area. Again, regarding the parking, I'm sorry. Yes, I park in the lane sometimes, but this is when I need 2 minutes in the house, do something and go. But when I want to stay at the house, I surely find the parking. I'm adding 2 units. I'm not adding 3 units. One of the neighbors said I'm adding only 2 units, and if the building is stayed bungalow as is, I can maybe do 2 units too, and very small too. What I'm proposing is adding a 3rd unit, which is bigger, 2 bedroom apartment with this outdoor space. Regarding the picture, I'm sorry, just one last thing. Regarding the picture, I did not put any trees there. This is a Google Street View. You can check it yourself. I didn't edit anything. I just added my block. I did not edit anything to try to hide anything. And regarding 18 Crocker Avenue, I had this conversation with Mr. Josh, the owner. And as mentioned before, I believe he had some plans. He has some plans for this. So it will not look like, a deformed thing. Thank you.
Okay. Did I hear you say the hot tub's at the back? I'm reading the purpose, and it says to alter the existing dwelling, and then it says with a front 3rd level deck in brackets that will contain a hot tub. So is the hot tub to the back or the front?
In the front. I'm sorry, it's in the front. It's in the deck on the front.
Because you said the back, so it's the front.
It's in the front. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a mistake if I mentioned this. It's clear in the plan that we just saw in the 3rd floor. It's facing. Can we see the 3rd floor plan, please? Yeah. So now to the right is Crocker Avenue. To the left is and to the top is the lane.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Hanna? No? Mr. Chang?
Yeah, I've been trying to understand the item number 3. I'm trying to look at your presentation material and your presentation. Like, do you know any other buildings in your area that has 1.685 or something similar level of floor space index in that neighborhood?
No, I've revised the committee for just I don't know any in my mind now. No.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Chan.
Just a quick one. You have mentioned that you have talked to the other semi, number 18. Do you have the support or what? Because you're a lot higher than your next door, the semi-attached neighbor.
Yes, I have the full support. He just didn't make it today. I think he has some family issues or appointments, but I have the full support of him. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Let's take it into committee. Any comments? Mr. Salomon.
I have concerns with what is being proposed. I think it's an overdevelopment of this small site. I think the FSI is very high, and we haven't seen any evidence that there is similar FSIs of this scale in the surrounding area. I have also concerns with the hot tub that's proposed at the front, and the massing and scale. To me, it looks out of scale and out of keeping with the character of the area.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Reed and then Ms. Chan.
Thanks. I have a slightly different view than Nimrod. I think this area is very eclectic, both in its scale and architectural styles. I know a lot of people mentioned concern about the style, but that's not a concern to me. The FSI does seem high, but I do note that each floor shrinks down in terms of the footage that it takes up, and I think that stepping back does help minimize its impact on the neighborhood. The hot tub, I understand fully that that's a neighborhood concern, but I don't think that's a zoning concern. And I don't know, I think for me, it represents more of an evolution of the neighborhood. I don't think it's reasonable to think that these bungalows will remain bungalows forever. And I think this represents a relatively thoughtful reimagination of the site. I think that a lot of the concerns are around the tenure and the short-term rental, whether that's days versus months versus quarters of a year. But again, that's not the concern of the committee. So I'm going to support this application.
Ms. Chan?
Yes, I will like to add, and I think overall, given the area this proposed, sorry, maybe.
Sorry, I didn't follow what you said. Can you repeat it, please?
I'm sorry, I have a call. I cannot turn off my phone. I just do not know how to turn off.
I didn't even hear it, but I didn't make out what you said. If you can just repeat it, please.
I cannot speak until I wait till my phone sort of stopped. Okay, I think that given the area that is around is getting to getting a lot of changes, and actually in principle, and I think that the proposal is reasonable, except that I regret the approach they have taken. Not, it seems that there are a lot of unhappy neighbors, and I wish it did not happen that way. But on the whole, the variances in front of us, well, the FSI seem to be high, and I wish that the applicant can give us some evidence to support that. But when I look at the overall area, and I think maybe all the new developments heading to that kind of density. So I'm also in support of the application here.
Okay. I'm going to need a motion then, Mr. Cheng.
Well, I just want to add that, I think the design, like Peter said, has been I can notice that the way they designed the shape of the building, how to gradually change it up to the second floor is quite thoughtful to try to create a pyramid shape. And I try to understand why the FSI is so high. Perhaps it's the lot size, and I think that's one reason why a lot of the neighborhood, the neighbors was looking at it as a ginormous building just because of the lot size and the proportion of the building. That creates the illusion of a large building. But like my colleague said, in this area in the Queen Street West, this is, I would say, in the marginal border of appropriateness. I'm actually 50-50, to be honest with you. I think it is a little bit bigger than it should be, but then when you look at the broader scale, when you look at the whole block of the neighborhood, not just the same street, I mean, there are quite a lot of 3 stories or pretty intensified area has been already established. So I would be still willing to support the application.
Okay, I actually share Mr. Salomon's concerns. A hot tub in the front, and I think the design is interesting, but I think it's the massing is a little bit too big, so I won't be supporting the application. Okay, so I'll need a motion. Mr. Reid.
Thanks, Chair. For the reasons I mentioned before, I move approval of the application subject to the community planning condition.
Alrighty, do I have a seconder? Mr. Cheng? Okay, so motion to approve the application moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. Cheng. All in favor? Okay, that motion carries, and myself and Mr. Salomon dissent. All right, that concludes the hearing for today. So we stand, we'll stand adjourned at 5:54 p.m. Thank you, panel members, and thank you, staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair and panel members. Have a good evening.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.